Greetings and salutations. Welcome to H. Potter. We are thrilled to present today's story. What if the Goblins purged 25 poisonous loyalty potions from Harry's system at age 7? If these stories bring joy to your day, please consider liking and subscribing. Every bit of support helps us continue this passion project. Now, prepare yourself for an amazing tale. Chapter 1. The Purge. Harry Potter's head throbbed with each heartbeat as he huddled in the darkness of his cupboard. Outside, the Dursleys laughed at something on the television, something he wasn't allowed to watch. His stomach growled. No dinner again. All because the school called about another incident. This time his teacher's hair had turned blue. Harry didn't know how it happened, just like he didn't know how he ended up on the school roof last month. Weird stuff just happened around him. A soft tapping sound pulled Harry from his thoughts. Something scratched at the cupboard vent. He squinted through the darkness. "Hello?" he whispered. The vent cover popped open, and Harry scrambled backward. A small creature with pointed ears and sharp teeth squeezed through the opening, impossibly small for its body size. "Harry Potter," the creature whispered in a gravelly voice. "I am Griphook of Gringotts. You are in danger. We must leave immediately." Harry blinked. "What are you?" "A goblin," Griphook replied impatiently. "Questions later. Your life depends on this." Harry hesitated. The Dursleys would punish him severely for leaving, but something in the goblin's urgent tone convinced him. "How?" Griphook extended a long-fingered hand. "Touch this." He held out a small gold coin. "It's a port key, magical transport." Harry reached forward tentatively. The moment his finger touched the cold metal, a hook yanked behind his navel. The cupboard spun away in a blur of color and sound. His body compressed from all directions as the world twisted inside out. He slammed onto a marble floor, retching. Strong hands steadied him. "First portkey's always rough," a deeper voice said. Harry's vision cleared. A vast chamber surrounded him, lit by floating orbs. Tall, armored goblins lined the walls. At the center stood a massive wooden table covered with parchments and strange instruments. Behind it sat an ancient goblin with a silver beard and piercing eyes. "Welcome to Gringotts Emergency Ritual Chamber, Mr. Potter," the old goblin said. "I am Director Ragnarok. You've been brought here because our magic detected an alarming number of foreign substances in your system, substances that should never be in a child's body." Harry's mind raced. "I don't understand." Griphook guided him to a chair. "Someone has been poisoning you, Mr. Potter. Regularly. For years. Poisoning me? But who would? That," Ragnarok interrupted, "is what we intend to discover." He gestured to a goblin healer who approached with a silver basin. "This will be uncomfortable, but necessary. We must extract these substances to identify them and their purpose." "Will it hurt?" Harry asked, eyeing the wickedly curved tools on the table. "Yes," Ragnarok said bluntly. "But less than the damage these potions are causing." Harry squared his shoulders. 7 years of living with the Dursleys had taught him about pain. "What do I need to do?" Ragnarok's expression softened slightly. "Brave lad. Strip to your undergarments and lie on the table." Harry complied, shivering as he climbed onto the cold stone table. The goblins positioned strange crystals around him in patterns he didn't understand. Ragnarok stood at his head, placing gnarled hands on Harry's temples. "Close your eyes," the director commanded. "Focus on my voice. The potions have suppressed your magic and manipulated your thoughts. Your body will fight their removal. You must help us." Harry nodded, trying to calm his breathing. Ragnarok began chanting in a language Harry didn't recognize. The other goblins joined in, their voices creating rhythmic layers of sound. The crystals pulsed with light that Harry could see even through closed eyelids. Then the pain started. It began as warmth spreading through his limbs, quickly intensifying to burning agony. Harry bit his lip to keep from screaming as liquid fire coursed through his veins. His back arched involuntarily. "Focus, Mr. Potter," Ragnarok growled. "Direct the pain outward. Imagine pushing the fire from your body into the crystals." Harry tried, concentrating on the sensation. Impossibly, the pain shifted direction. Something viscous and foul began seeping from his pores, dark liquids in various colors oozing across his skin toward the waiting crystals. The crystals absorbed each droplet, changing color with each new substance. Red, green, purple, blue, a rainbow of poisons extracted from his body. Harry's mind cleared with each extraction, like fog burning away under sunlight. Memories surfaced, strange adults giving him sweets, drinks that tasted odd, Mrs. Fig's cats watching him too intently, red-haired people passing him in the street and slipping something into his pocket. 25, a goblin announced, marking a parchment. 25 separate potions. Ragnarok's expression darkened. Unforgivable. Continue the extraction. The process intensified. Harry couldn't hold back his screams now as the final potions fought their removal. The most deeply embedded substances caused convulsions as they emerged. 2 goblins held him down as his body thrashed. "Almost complete," Ragnarok said. "Your magic is fighting back, Mr. Potter." "That's good." With a final wrenching sensation, the last potion, Black and Terry, pulled from Harry's scar. It formed a misty skull shape before the crystals absorbed it. Harry collapsed, gasping. "Water," he croaked. A goblin helped him sit up, offering a silver cup. The water tasted impossibly sweet and pure. Each sip restored strength to his trembling limbs. "What were those things?" Harry asked, his voice stronger. Ragnarok gestured to the now multicolored crystals. "Loyalty potions. Compulsion potions. Magical suppressants. Memory modifiers." His sharp teeth flashed in a grimace. "Someone has been systematically controlling you since infancy, Mr. Potter." "But who? And why?" "We're analyzing the magical signatures now." Ragnarok nodded to a team of goblins performing tests on the crystals. "But we already recognize several. The strongest loyalty potions are keyed to Albus Dumbledore and the Weasley family." "Who are they?" Harry asked. Ragnarok raised bushy eyebrows. "You don't know Albus Dumbledore? Headmaster of Hogwarts? Chief Warlock? The man who placed you with the Dursleys?" Harry's stomach clenched. "Someone placed me with them? On purpose?" "Against your parents' explicit wishes," Ragnarok confirmed. "Their will was sealed by Dumbledore immediately after their deaths." Harry's hands curled into fists. "My parents had a will." "Indeed. One that specified you should never go to Petunia Dursley." Ragnarok snapped his fingers, and a thick folder appeared. "We have a copy in your family vault. Dumbledore, as Chief Warlock, overrode it using emergency powers, claiming blood protection through your mother's sister was essential for your safety." "Safety?" Harry laughed bitterly. "The Dursleys hate me. Vernon broke my arm last year when I accidentally used magic to reach a high shelf." Several goblins growled. Ragnarok's eyes narrowed to slits. "The potion's analysis is complete, Director," a goblin announced, approaching with a scroll. 25 distinct substances, administered regularly over 7 years. Ragnarok scanned the list, his expression growing darker. Loyalty potions keyed to Dumbledore, Molly Weasley, Ronald Weasley, and something called the Light Side. Aversion potions against Slytherin House, dark magic, and self-preservation. Intelligence suppressants. Magical core binders. Memory blocks. Tracking charms. He looked up. And most disturbing, a foreign soul fragment in the scar, partially contained but feeding on your magic. Soul fragment? Harry touched his lightning scar. What does that mean? It means, Ragnar said gravely, that when Voldemort attacked you as an infant, a piece of his soul attached to you. Someone, likely Dumbledore, knew about it but chose containment rather than removal. Harry felt sick. I've had a piece of my parents' murderer inside me. For 7 years. Longer. But it's gone now. Ragnar set down the scroll. The question is why Dumbledore would allow it to remain, while simultaneously controlling you with potions. A younger goblin whispered something in Ragnar's ear. The director nodded. Mr. Potter, there's more. These potions didn't just control your behavior and suppress your magic. They've been siphoning your family magic and gold to other accounts. Small amounts, nothing we would normally flag, but consistent transfers to Dumbledore's personal vault and the Weasley family vault. Harry's vision tunneled. The room spun. They've been stealing from me. My family had money. The Potters are one of Britain's wealthiest wizarding families, Ragnar said, steadying him. You're the sole heir to an ancient and noble house, with all the wealth, properties, and political power that entails. Harry struggled to process this. But I sleep in a cupboard. I wear Dudley's old clothes. I never have enough to eat. The goblin's expression could have curdled milk. Exactly as Dumbledore intended, it seems. Keeping you downtrodden, desperate for affection, easy to manipulate when you eventually enter the wizarding world. He paused. Which would have been when you received your Hogwarts letter at 11. Hogwarts. Harry recalled the name from earlier. The school. The premier magical school in Britain, Ragnar confirmed. Your name has been down since birth. Your parents both attended. Harry's mind whirled with possibilities. So in 4 years, I'd have gotten a letter and suddenly learned about magic. And met this Dumbledore and the Weasleys. Precisely. And with the potions in your system, you'd have formed immediate attachments to them while rejecting other influences. Ragnar's voice hardened. A carefully orchestrated manipulation to control the boy who lived. Boy who lived? Ragnar sighed. Another thing kept from you. You're famous in our world, Mr. Potter. The only person to ever survive the killing curse. The infant who somehow defeated the Dark Lord Voldemort. Harry laughed hollowly. Famous? Me? Books have been written about you. Children grow up hearing your story. Ragnar folded his hands. Your fame and inheritance make you valuable. Someone has been positioning themselves to control that value. Harry slid off the table, pacing despite his lingering weakness. So what happens now? I have to go back to the Dursleys, don't I? And wait for this Hogwarts letter? Not necessarily. Ragnar gestured to a chair. Sit, Mr. Potter. Let's discuss your options. Harry sat, suddenly aware he was still in only his underwear. A goblin handed him a set of black robes that fit perfectly. Much better than Dudley's cast-offs, Harry murmured, running his fingers over the quality fabric. The first change of many, Ragnar assured him. Now, Mr. Potter, by goblin law, what was done to you constitutes attempted line theft, a capital crime. We cannot interfere directly in wizard affairs, but we can offer certain protections. What kind of protections? First, we've cleansed your system. The potions are gone, and we've applied goblin wards against future tampering. No one can force potions on you again without triggering our alarms. Ragnar looked satisfied. Second, we can help you claim your inheritance early through an ancient loophole. What loophole? Attempted line theft creates a provision for emergency emancipation in financial matters. Ragnar slid a document forward. This wouldn't make you a legal adult in wizard law, but it would give you control over your vaults and properties, with Gringotts as your financial guardian until you reach maturity. Harry stared at the document. So I could access my family's money. Buy food, clothes, a place to live. Within reason. We would manage major assets, but you would have access to funds and heirlooms. Ragnarok pointed to a line on the document. Including your family grimoire, the collected magical knowledge of House Potter. Harry's hand trembled as he reached for the quill Ragnarok offered. I'd be able to learn magic before Hogwarts. Carefully and secretly, Ragnarok cautioned. Underage magic is monitored by the Ministry, but only wand magic. Your family grimoire contains wandless techniques that would go undetected. Harry signed without hesitation. Ragnarok nodded approvingly. A blood dropped to seal it. He offered a small silver knife. Harry pricked his finger, letting a drop fall on the parchment. The blood spread, forming intricate patterns before the document glowed golden and duplicated itself. Done, Ragnarok said. Now for the third protection, we recommend maintaining appearances. What do you mean? Return to the Dursleys, Ragnarok explained, but with new advantages. We'll place goblin wards on your cupboard, expanded space inside, temperature regulation, pest repellent. Your relatives won't notice the difference, but you'll have comfort. Harry considered this. So I pretend nothing's changed. Let Dumbledore think his plan is working. Exactly. Let your enemies believe you remain ignorant and controlled. Meanwhile, prepare yourself. Ragnarok's smile showed too many teeth. The wizarding world expects a malleable, grateful, ignorant Harry Potter to arrive at Hogwarts in 4 years. Imagine their surprise when you arrive as a knowledgeable heir in command of your birthright. The idea appealed to Harry's sense of justice. What about these Weasleys? Will I recognize them? We'll provide dossiers on all major players, Ragnarok assured him. And magical disguises for your visits to wizarding areas. You should familiarize yourself with your world before officially entering it. Harry nodded. When can I see my vaults? Immediately. Ragnarok stood. But first, one more ritual, if you're strong enough. What ritual? Your magical core was bound, Ragnarok explained. We've removed the bindings, but after years of suppression, your magic needs alignment. Otherwise, it could manifest unpredictably and dangerously. Let's do it, Harry said without hesitation. Ragnarok smiled. Eager, like your father. This way. They descended deeper into Gringotts, passing through corridors carved from raw stone. Strange runes glowed on the walls. They entered a circular chamber with a pool of silver liquid at its center. The waters of Myrddin, Ragnarok explained. One of the bank's greatest treasures. It will harmonize your core and reveal your magical affinities. Will this hurt too? Harry asked warily. Not pain, Ragnarok assured him. But intense sensation. Remove your robes and enter the pool. Harry disrobed and cautiously stepped into the silver liquid. It felt neither hot nor cold, but tingled against his skin. He waded to the center where the liquid reached his chest. Submerge completely, Ragnarok instructed. When the waters accept you, you'll feel it. Harry took a deep breath and ducked underwater. The silver liquid enveloped him in tingling energy. Colors swirled before his eyes, vibrant patterns unlike anything he'd seen before. His body felt weightless, connected to something vast and ancient. Power surged through him, not painful, but overwhelming. His magic, freed from its chains, expanded outward before contracting into his core in a controlled, disciplined flow. Knowledge flooded his mind, not specific spells, but understanding of magical theory, the structure of power, the relationship between intent and effect. Harry emerged gasping, his body glowing faintly. The water beaded on his skin before absorbing directly into his flesh, leaving him dry. Ragnarok watched with widened eyes. Extraordinary. The waters rarely respond so strongly. Harry felt different, centered, aware of a humming energy beneath his skin, ready to be called upon. What happened? Your core rebalanced, and the waters revealed your affinities. Ragnarok consulted with another goblin who held a crystal tablet. Strong in battle magic, transfiguration, and mind arts. Moderate in healing and charms. And he paused, a natural accoutrement. The memory blocks were suppressing that talent. Accoutrements? Mind protection, Ragnarok explained. Critical for someone in your position. It prevents mental intrusion and helps organize thoughts and memories. Harry climbed from the pool, accepting the fresh robes offered. Can I learn to use these abilities? Your family grimoire will guide you, Ragnarok assured him. Now, to your vaults. A wild cart ride later, Harry stood before an enormous golden door emblazoned with a crest, a shield with a stag and doe flanking a wand and sword. The Potter family vault, Ragnarok announced. Place your hand on the crest. Harry pressed his palm against the cool metal. The door recognized his blood, melting away to reveal a cavern filled with more wealth than Harry had imagined possible. Mountains of gold coins. Shelves of artifacts. Weapons on display. Portraits along the walls. And at the center, on a pedestal, a leather-bound book with the family crest. The Potter Grimoire, Ragnarok said. Nearly 1,000 years of magical knowledge. Harry approached reverently, touching the ancient leather. The book warmed beneath his fingers, pages ruffling as if in greeting. It recognizes you, Ragnarok observed. Take it. It's yours by right. Harry lifted the grimoire, feeling its magic pulse against his. Thank you for everything, Director Ragnarok. I don't know how to repay you. The goblin's expression grew serious. Justice against those who wronged you will be payment enough. House Potter has always dealt fairly with the goblin nation. We honor our alliances. Harry nodded solemnly. I won't forget this. Nor should you. Ragnarok handed him a small golden key. This accesses your trust vault, separate from the family vault, but with ample funds for your needs. And this, he presented an ornate ring with the Potter crest, is your heir's ring. It holds protections against most common potions and mind magics. Harry slid the ring onto his right hand. It resized itself, then seemed to melt into his skin, leaving only a faint outline. It's hidden from those you don't wish to see it, Ragnarok explained. Now, we should select some items for your immediate education. They spent the next hour exploring the vault. Harry selected several beginner magical texts, a set of practice daggers for physical training, and a compact magical trunk with hidden compartments. Most precious was a small photo album containing moving pictures of his parents. They look so happy, Harry whispered, tracing his mother's laughing face. They were, Ragnarok said quietly. And dedicated to your safety. There will contain extensive provisions for your care, none of which were followed. Harry's jaw tightened. I want a copy of the will. Already included in your trunk, Ragnarok assured him. Along with dossiers on Dumbledore, the Weasleys, and other key players. Study them carefully. Harry nodded, closing the album carefully. What about these properties you mentioned? 3 Potter properties remain accessible, Ragnarok explained. The main family estate in Wales was destroyed in the war. There's a cottage in Godric's Hollow, currently maintained as a historical monument. A flat in London, and a small property in Scotland near Hogwarts. Could I visit the London flat? Harry asked hopefully. Eventually, Ragnarok said. But today, you must return to the Dursleys. Establishing a sudden disappearance would alert Dumbledore. Harry's shoulders slumped, but he nodded. You're right. I need to be smart about this. Precisely. Ragnarok closed the trunk. This has expansion and featherlight charms. It will fit in your cupboard, invisible to Muggle eyes. Muggle? Non-magical people, like your relatives. Ragnarok handed him a small mirror. This is a communication mirror. Say, Gringotts and a goblin representative will answer. For emergencies only. Harry tucked the mirror into the trunk. How will I learn magic without someone noticing? Your cupboard will have privacy wards, Ragnarok assured him. And we've arranged a tutor who can visit discreetly. A squib who works with us, someone with magical knowledge but no ability to perform it themselves. When do I meet this tutor? Tomorrow evening. Mrs. Arabella Fig. Harry's eyes widened. My babysitter. But she's just a crazy cat lady. Ragnarok chuckled. A carefully cultivated image. She was placed by Dumbledore to watch you, but her primary loyalty is to her Gringotts pension. She'll help you understand the wizarding world while maintaining appearances. Harry processed this unexpected alliance. So she'll pretend to report to Dumbledore, but actually help me? For the right price, Ragnarok confirmed. Goblins understand incentives, Mr. Potter. Everyone has their price, or their leverage point. Harry nodded thoughtfully. I think I understand. Good. Ragnarok checked a pocket watch. It's time to return you. The Dursleys haven't noticed your absence, we've manipulated their perception of time, but we shouldn't press our luck. Harry clutched his trunk tightly. Will I remember everything? The potion suppressed my memories before. Your air ring will protect you, Ragnarok assured him. And we've left markers in your mind that would alert us to any tampering. You're as protected as we can make you without revealing our involvement. Harry extended his hand. Thank you, Director Ragnarok. You've changed my life tonight. The goblin clasped his arm in the warrior's grip. You have potential, Harry Potter. Gringotts recognizes that potential. Just remember, patience before vengeance. Preparation before confrontation. I'll remember. Harry squared his shoulders. I'm ready. Griphook appeared with the portkey coin. This will return you directly to your cupboard. The wards are already in place. Harry touched the coin, bracing himself for the sensation. Goodbye for now. The hook behind his navel yanked him through space, depositing him back in his cupboard with a muffled thump. But the space had changed, still appearing tiny from the outside, but now expanded to the size of a small bedroom within. A comfortable bed replaced the thin mattress. Magical lights activated at his presence. Harry opened the trunk, removing the grimoire and family album. For the first time in his life, he felt something he couldn't quite name. Not just hope, something stronger. Purpose. He opened the grimoire to the first page, where elegant script appeared as if written by an invisible hand. Welcome, Heir Potter. Your journey begins now. Mrs. Fig's house smelled of cabbage and cats, just as Harry remembered. But something had changed. The cats watched him with two intelligent eyes, and Mrs. Fig's usual rambling stories about her felines were replaced by a shrewd assessment as she closed the curtains. So the goblins finally noticed the potions, she said without preamble. I was beginning to think they never would. Harry maintained his composure, remembering Ragnarok's warnings about testing new allies. You knew. Suspected, she corrected, gesturing him to a chair. Couldn't confirm without magic. But I've watched Dumbledore's people slip you treats for years. And that Weasley woman accidentally bumping into you in the village last month? Too convenient. Harry sat cautiously. Why didn't you say anything? Who would I tell? Mrs. Fig snorted. Dumbledore placed me here to watch you. Reports directly to him, I do. Or so he thinks. She pulled out a wand from her housecoat pocket. Harry tensed. I thought you were a squib. I am. She handed him the wand. This is just for show. Doesn't work for me, never has. But Dumbledore doesn't know that. He thinks I'm a witch who lost her magic in the war. Lets him feel magnanimous, giving me this important job watching his precious savior. Harry examined the wand cautiously. Nothing happened when he held it. It's just wood, Mrs. Fig explained. The goblins provided it. Convincing prop. She took it back. Now, we have work to do. The Dursleys think you're here until dinner. That gives us 4 hours for your first lesson. What will you teach me? Harry asked. Wizarding culture. Politics. Etiquette. She pulled a large book from beneath a cat bed. Things you'll need to know that aren't in your grimoire. Technical magic you can learn on your own. But navigating pure-blood society? That takes insider knowledge. For the next 4 hours, Mrs. Fig drilled Harry on wizarding family trees, political affiliations, and the complex web of alliances that governed magical Britain. Her cats occasionally contributed, revealing themselves as part-nasal magical creatures with the ability to detect deceit and danger. "Mr. Tibbles has been my eyes outside the house," Mrs. Fig explained as the large tabby preened. "He's the one who noticed the tracking charms on your clothing. We've been neutralizing them for years, replacing them with duplicates that show you only at school or home." Harry scratched the cat's ears gratefully. "So Dumbledore thinks I never go anywhere else?" "Precisely." Mrs. Fig smiled thinly. "It's why you've never, accidentally, encountered other wizarding children. He wants you isolated until he's ready." By the time Harry returned to Privet Drive, his head swam with information, but a plan was forming. Small steps. Careful preparation. The long game. That night, secure in his transformed cupboard, Harry opened the grimoire again and began the first exercises in magical control. The book instructed him to feel his core, the swirling energy within that connected him to his magic. He closed his eyes, following the grimoire's guidance. There, a warm pulse behind his sternum, vibrating with potential. He reached for it mentally, surprised when it responded eagerly to his call. A tiny globe of light formed above his palm. Wandless magic. The most basic form, but magic nonetheless. Harry grinned in the soft light. 7 years of potions and bindings hadn't destroyed his potential, only delayed it. Now he had 4 years to prepare before Hogwarts. 4 years to transform from victim to victor. Patience before vengeance, he whispered, remembering Ragnarok's advice. Preparation before confrontation. The light pulsed in agreement. The next 3 months established a routine. Outwardly, nothing changed. Harry still cooked and cleaned for the Dursleys, still wore Dudley's cast-offs in public, still pretended to struggle in school to avoid unwanted attention. But inside his cupboard, his sanctuary, Harry Potter was transforming. Each night, he practiced wandless magic from the grimoire. Simple charms at first, light, warming, cooling. Then more complex applications, unlocking doors, silencing footsteps, temporarily altering his appearance. His progress accelerated as his unbound magic responded eagerly to his intent. Twice weekly, he visited Mrs. Fig for lessons in wizarding culture. She taught him pure-blood etiquette, political history, and recognition of influential families. Her part-nasal cats assisted in his training, helping him develop awareness of his surroundings and detect when he was being watched. Once a month, Griphook arrived at midnight with a port key to Gringotts, where Harry received combat training from goblin warriors. They taught him knife fighting, basic swordplay, and goblin battle magic, techniques that required no wand but depended on will and intent. Magic isn't just Latin words and wand movements, his goblin instructor Steel Fist explained, demonstrating a shielding technique. That's wizard nonsense, training wheels for the undisciplined. True magic comes from intent focused through will. Harry absorbed these lessons eagerly. While his body grew stronger through secret exercises, his mind expanded through occlumency training, organizing his thoughts, strengthening his mental barriers, protecting his secrets. The Dursleys noticed subtle changes despite Harry's caution. His newfound confidence unsettled them. Vernon's threats seemed less effective when Harry met his gaze calmly instead of cowering. Petunia grew nervous when household objects occasionally moved without explanation. Dudley found himself inexplicably tripping whenever he attempted to bully his cousin. For months after the purging ritual, Harry decided it was time to adjust the Dursley situation. Not revenge, not yet, but renegotiation. He waited until Vernon returned from work, unusually relaxed from a successful business meeting. Petunia busied herself in the kitchen while Dudley watched television. "Uncle Vernon, Harry said quietly. "May I speak with you privately?" Vernon's eyes narrowed suspiciously. "What do you want, boy?" "To make your life easier," Harry replied, maintaining eye contact. "And mine as well." Curiosity overcame suspicion. Vernon gestured toward his study. 5 minutes. Once the door closed, Harry activated the small privacy charm he'd mastered, not enough magic to trigger ministry sensors, but sufficient to ensure their conversation remained private. "I'll be direct, Uncle," Harry began. "Neither of us is happy with this arrangement. You don't want me here. I don't want to be here. But we're stuck together until I'm 17. Vernon's face purpled. "Listen here," Harry raised his hand, and Vernon's voice stopped, not through magic, but through the sheer surprise of Harry's confident interruption. "I can make myself nearly invisible," Harry continued. "No demands, no problems, no embarrassing incidents. In exchange, I want 3 simple things: my own bedroom, adequate food, and to be left alone." Vernon spluttered. "You ungrateful," "Before you refuse," Harry interrupted again, "consider what happens if things continue as they are." He met Vernon's gaze steadily. "Strange things happen around me when I'm stressed or hungry. We both know that. Wouldn't you prefer normality?" The word struck home. Vernon's expression shifted from anger to calculation. "Dudley's second bedroom is full of broken toys," Harry pressed his advantage. "I could clean it out, stay there quietly, and handle my own meals. You'd barely notice me. And how would you explain this change to the neighbors?" Vernon demanded. Harry smiled slightly. "Growth spurt. School recommendations for a growing boy's development. Your renowned generosity. Take your pick." Vernon considered this, his business mind recognizing a negotiation. "What about chores?" "I'll handle the yard and my own space," Harry offered. "Petunia can go back to cleaning the rest, she never liked my methods anyway." Vernon drummed his fingers on the desk, weighing options. "And these incidents? They'd stop." "Completely," Harry promised. "You give me space, I'll give you normalcy." The decision came down to Vernon's core values, his hatred of Harry versus his desire for an ordinary, problem-free life. Predictably, the latter won. "The second bedroom," Vernon conceded. 3 meals a day, you cook your own. Yard work twice weekly. And I don't want to hear a peep from you otherwise." Harry nodded. "Done. Start moving your things tomorrow," Vernon ordered, already convincing himself the idea had been his. "And clear out Dudley's junk. No complaining." "Yes, Uncle Vernon," Harry said mildly. That night in his cupboard, Harry allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. Not a major victory, but the first step in reshaping his environment. He no longer needed the Dursleys' approval or affection. He needed only their disinterest, the freedom to prepare without interference. The grimoire seemed to approve, revealing a new section on elemental magic that night, techniques for manipulating fire, water, air, and earth without a wand. Harry began practicing with a small flame dancing above his palm, reflecting in his determined green eyes. For years until Hogwarts. For years to master magic most students wouldn't encounter until their newts. For years to build alliances, study his future classmates, and prepare for the inevitable confrontation with Dumbledore. Patience before vengeance. Preparation before confrontation. The flame burned brighter. By his 8th birthday, unacknowledged by the Dursleys but celebrated with a small cake in Mrs. Figg's kitchen, Harry had transformed his new bedroom into a dual-purpose space. To casual observation, it remained sparse and uninteresting, a bed, a desk, a bookshelf with school texts. But activated by Harry's touch, hidden features revealed themselves, magical texts disillusioned as ordinary books, training weapons concealed within hollowed furniture, communication devices linked to his goblin allies. His education progressed rapidly across multiple fronts. Academically, he excelled in his Muggle schoolwork once freed from the requirement to underperform Dudley. Magically, he mastered the first 3 years of standard Hogwarts curriculum through theoretical study and wandless practice. Physically, he developed strength and agility through a regimen designed by his goblin instructors. Most importantly, his mind grew disciplined and ordered. Occlumency transformed from a defensive technique into a cognitive enhancement, allowing him to process information more efficiently, recall details instantly, and maintain awareness of his magical core. Today marked a significant step in his preparations. After months of negotiation through Gringotts, he had arranged his first visit to Diagon Alley under magical disguise. "Remember," Mrs. Fig cautioned as she adjusted the glamour amulet around his neck, "you're Daniel Evans today, my great-nephew visiting from Manchester. The amulet will make you appear brown-haired and blue-eyed with no scar." Harry nodded, checking his reflection. A stranger looked back, same general build but completely different features. "Perfect. We'll flew from Mrs. Abernathy's house," Mrs. Fig continued, referring to her squib neighbor who maintained a connected fireplace for emergencies. "Stay close to me in the alley. If we encounter anyone from Dumbledore's circle, let me do the talking." The flu experience proved nearly as disorienting as the portkey. Harry stumbled from the leaky cauldron's fireplace, grateful for Mrs. Fig's steadying hand. "First time's always rough," Tom the barkeeper commented sympathetically. "Country flues, Mrs. Fig explained with a dismissive wave. "Never properly maintained. Come along, Daniel." Harry absorbed every detail as they moved through the pub. Wizards in varied robes drinking strange concoctions. Magical photographs on the Daily Prophet. Creatures that weren't quite human conversing casually with patrons. Everything matched Mrs. Fig's descriptions, but experiencing it firsthand sent excitement thrumming through his veins. The brick wall entrance to Diagon Alley elicited his first genuine gasp of wonder. The cobblestone street teemed with magical life, shops displaying impossible items, owls swooping between buildings, cauldrons stacking themselves in window displays. "Close your mouth, dear," Mrs. Fig murmured. "You look like a tourist." Harry schooled his expression, remembering his training. "Where first?" "Flourish and blots for your special order," Mrs. Fig directed. "Then potages for basic brewing supplies. If time allows, we'll visit the magical menagerie." The bookshop overwhelmed Harry's senses, towering shelves filled with texts that moved, whispered, and occasionally snapped at browsing fingers. The manager greeted Mrs. Fig with a nod. "The special order for Evans," she requested quietly. The manager retrieved a wrapped package from behind the counter. "Unusual selections for a young reader," he commented. "He's advanced for his age," Mrs. Fig replied smoothly, passing over a pouch of galleons. Harry maintained his cover as the bored great-nephew, but his heart raced. Inside that package lay restricted texts on mind arts, wandless casting, and magical theory, books normally reserved for mastery students, acquired through Gringotts connections and a significant portion of his trust vault. Their shopping proceeded efficiently until a commotion near Gringotts caught their attention. A large family of redheads emerged from the bank, parents with 5 children of varying ages, all talking loudly. "The Weasleys, Mrs. Fig whispered unnecessarily. "Molly and Arthur with Percy, Fred, George, Ron, and Ginny. Dumbledore's staunch supporters." Harry studied them carefully, matching faces to the dossiers he'd memorized. According to Gringotts intelligence, Molly Weasley had personally administered several of the loyalty potions, while her youngest son Ron was being groomed as Harry's future best friend at Hogwarts. "Ron's my age," Harry noted quietly. "The one complaining about his shoes?" "Yes," Mrs. Fig confirmed. "Remember, he's as much a pawn as you were meant to be. Molly and Arthur are the architects, along with Dumbledore." Harry nodded, observing the family dynamics. The twins seemed more independent, while Percy projected pompous authority. Ron appeared disgruntled and envious as Molly fussed over his siblings. The girl, Ginny, clutched a worn book about Harry Potter, of all things. There are books about me? Harry whispered, disconcerted. Fiction sold as fact, Mrs. Fig replied. The Adventures of Harry Potter, complete nonsense about you fighting dragons and rescuing princesses. Very profitable for the publishers. Some percentage should go to your vaults, but Dumbledore redirected the royalties to a Harry Potter trust he controls. Another theft to add to the ledger. Harry filed it away mentally. They were turning to leave when Molly Weasley's gaze suddenly fixed on them. She nudged her husband, whispering something, then steered her family in their direction. Arabella, she called with artificial warmth. What a lovely surprise. Mrs. Fig stiffened momentarily before composing her features. Molly, Arthur. Shopping for school supplies already? Never too early, Arthur replied genially. The twins start Hogwarts this September, and Percy needs all new books as a third year. Molly's attention had already shifted to Harry. And who's this young man? My great-nephew, Daniel, Mrs. Fig answered. Visiting for the week while his parents attend a conference. Harry offered a polite but reserved smile, careful to reveal nothing in his expression. Pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Weasley. Such nice manners, Molly beamed, but her eyes assessed him with calculation beneath the motherly facade. You must be about Ron's age. Ron, say hello. The red-headed boy stepped forward reluctantly. Hi. Harry nodded acknowledgement, maintaining his cover persona, slightly shy, but polite. Hello. Perhaps Daniel could visit the burrow while he's here, Molly suggested eagerly. Ron could use the company, and I make an excellent treacle tart. The seemingly innocent invitation raised Harry's mental alarms. Was she hoping to test potential friends for the real Harry Potter? Or simply gathering intelligence on Mrs. Fig's connections? Mrs. Fig intervened smoothly. I'm afraid our schedule is quite full. Daniel's parents left an extensive educational itinerary. Perhaps another time. Disappointment flashed across Molly's face before her smile reasserted itself. Of course, dear. Education comes first. But do keep us in mind if you need a break. We've plenty of room. As they exchanged pleasantries and prepared to part ways, Harry noticed Ron staring at him with a strange expression, assessment tinged with what seemed like preemptive resentment. The twins, meanwhile, whispered to each other while sending calculating looks his way. Only when they'd completed their shopping and returned to the safety of Mrs. Fig's house did Harry relax his guard. That was close, he sighed, removing the glamour amulet. Do you think they suspected anything? Molly's always fishing for information, Mrs. Fig replied, sorting their purchases. She reports all my movements to Dumbledore. I'll tell him you're my squib relative's son, magically gifted but already enrolled in Beauxbatons through his French grandmother's connections. Harry helped unpack the shrunken packages. She seemed very eager to get me to their house. Of course she was, Mrs. Fig snorted. Fresh target for her potions, most likely. Or just gathering intelligence for Dumbledore. She handed him the wrapped package from the bookshop. These need to stay here, too dangerous to keep at Privet Drive. We'll set up a study schedule. Harry unwrapped the books reverently, Occlumency, Shields of the Mind, Advanced Magical Theory for the Wandless Practitioner, and Magical Cores, a comprehensive analysis. Knowledge was power, and these texts represented weapons in his growing arsenal. I saw Ron with a pet rat, Harry mentioned, recalling a detail from their encounter. Something seemed off about it. Mrs. Fig frowned. Magical or ordinary? I'm not sure, Harry admitted. But it watched me too intently. Like your Neasels do, but different. I'll make inquiries, Mrs. Fig promised, her expression thoughtful. The Weasleys had that rat for years. Unusually long-lived for a common species. Harry filed the observation away with other anomalies requiring investigation. His mental database of potential allies and enemies grew with each encounter, each piece of information meticulously organized behind his occlumency shields. That night, practicing in his bedroom, Harry achieved his first successful transfiguration without a wand, transforming a pencil into a needle and back again. A simple first-year spell, but performed wandlessly at age 8. Progress. In his mind, a countdown continued. 3 years, 7 months until Hogwarts. The pieces were moving into place, one carefully calculated step at a time. Harry's 9th birthday marked a significant expansion of his training. The Goblin warriors, impressed by his progress in basic combat techniques, introduced him to blood magic, not the dark sacrificial rituals of wizard propaganda, but the ancient defensive arts of the Goblin nation. Blood freely given carries intent and power, Steel Fist explained, demonstrating the proper way to draw a single drop from his palm. Wizardkind fears what they don't understand, so they ban these practices. But protection sigils drawn in your own blood will safeguard you without triggering ministry detection. Harry practiced drawing the complex symbols, focusing his intent into each stroke. When completed correctly, the sigils glowed briefly before sinking into whatever surface they were drawn upon, doorways, possessions, clothing. Your mother used similar techniques, Ragnarok mentioned during a rare personal training session. Her sacrifice employed ancient blood magic far beyond Dumbledore's understanding. It's what protected you from Voldemort, not some mysterious power of love, as Dumbledore claims. This revelation about his mother thrilled Harry. He dove into researching blood protection wards, discovering connections between his mother's Muggle-born brilliance and her apparent discovery of forgotten magical techniques. His education expanded beyond magic into strategic thinking and politics. Ragnarok himself tutored Harry in Goblin battle strategy, approaching conflicts as multidimensional chess where victory often came through positioning rather than direct confrontation. You'll face enemies with greater raw power and decades more experience, the director explained. Defeating them requires asymmetric approaches. Control the battlefield. Set the terms of engagement. Never fight on ground of their choosing. Harry absorbed these lessons alongside his magical training. By 9.5, he could wandlessly perform most standard first and second-year spells, maintain complex occlumency shields continuously, and defend himself against basic physical attacks. His Muggle education progressed similarly. Freed from the constraint of underperforming Dudley, Harry excelled in mathematics, sciences, and languages. The Dursleys, initially suspicious of his improved grades, settled into grudging acceptance when his academic recognition brought them neighborhood prestige as his guardians. The summer before his 10th birthday, Harry executed the next phase of his preparation, establishing a secure identity in the Muggle world separate from Dursley control. Working through Gringotts' Muggle connections, he acquired a secondary passport and identification under the name Hadrian Evans, his mother's maiden name selected for its magical neutrality. With these documents came limited financial independence through a Muggle bank account linked to his trust vault. Financial flexibility is crucial, Ragnarok advised during their monthly meeting. The Muggle banking system offers anonymity that wizards don't understand or monitor. A 10-year-old can't access much independently, but establishing these channels now will serve you later. Harry put these new resources to immediate use, mail-ordering proper clothing sized for his growing frame, educational materials beyond his school curriculum, and subtle physical training equipment that wouldn't raise questions at Privet Drive. His relationship with the Dursleys had evolved into a cool détente, minimal interaction with clear boundaries. Vernon and Petunia seemed relieved by his self-sufficiency, while Dudley, after several mysteriously unfortunate attempts at bullying, maintained a healthy distance. Life settled into a productive routine until a chance encounter at the local library disrupted Harry's careful compartmentalization of his worlds. While researching advanced mathematics beyond his grade level, he noticed a bushy-haired girl approximately his age struggling with a physics textbook far beyond elementary school material. Harry recognized the frustrated determination in her expression, the same look he often wore when tackling particularly challenging magical theory. Normally, he avoided forming connections that might complicate his preparations, but something about her intense concentration intrigued him. The chapter on theoretical particles makes more sense if you've read Hawking first, he commented quietly, approaching her table. The girl looked up, startled by both the interruption and the content of his suggestion. "You've read Hawking? A Brief History of Time?" Harry nodded. "The library's copy is in the adult section. I had to convince Mrs. Patterson I could handle it." He extended his hand. "I'm Harry." "Hermione Granger," she replied, shaking his hand with businesslike formality. "And you're right, I haven't read Hawking yet. I'm trying to understand why my experiment didn't work, and I thought maybe quantum theory might explain it." "What experiment?" Harry asked, genuinely curious. Hermione hesitated, as if expecting mockery, before explaining her attempt to measure electromagnetic field variations in different materials. Her description revealed sophisticated thinking hampered only by limited resources and information. "You need a more sensitive Gauss meter," Harry observed. "The school equipment isn't calibrated for the differential you're trying to measure." Their conversation expanded from physics to mathematics to literature, jumping between topics with an ease Harry had never experienced with age peers. Hermione's mind worked differently from his, more systematically organized, less intuitive, but equally hungry for knowledge and understanding. "You don't go to my school," Hermione noted eventually. "I would have remembered you in advanced placement." "I live with my aunt and uncle on Privet Drive," Harry explained. "I attend the local school there." "But you're studying university-level mathematics," Hermione observed, gesturing to his books. Harry shrugged. "I work ahead on my own. The teachers let me as long as I complete the regular assignments too." Hermione's expression reflected recognition of a kindred spirit. "My parents drive me to the academic enrichment program in London on weekends. You should come sometime. They have equipment your school probably doesn't." The invitation tempted Harry. His educational opportunities in Little Whinging remained limited despite his self-directed studies. But forming connections in the Muggle world carried complications, especially with someone who might eventually enter the magical world herself. "I'd like that," he said finally, making a strategic decision. "If my aunt and uncle agree." They exchanged contact information, Harry providing the Dursleys' phone number with specific instructions to ask for him personally and not mention academic programs if his uncle answered. The friendship developed cautiously at first, meetings at the library, discussions of scientific concepts, shared frustration with educational limitations. Harry maintained careful boundaries, revealing nothing about magic while subtly testing Hermione for signs of magical potential. He found them quickly. Books occasionally moved toward her when she was deeply focused. Light bulbs brightened or dimmed with her emotional states. Once, when particularly excited about solving a complex equation, her hair briefly defied gravity. Accidental magic, subtle but unmistakable. Hermione Granger was a witch, though she didn't know it yet. This revelation transformed Harry's approach to their friendship. If she would eventually enter the magical world, likely at Hogwarts given her age, she represented both an opportunity and a vulnerability in his plans. After consulting with Mrs. Figg and Ragnarok, Harry made the calculated decision to nurture the friendship while preparing contingencies. Hermione's analytical mind would make her a valuable ally if properly informed, but her by-the-book personality might pose challenges if she learned about his activities through official channels. Their friendship deepened through shared intellectual pursuits. Harry arranged to join Hermione at the London academic program twice monthly, using Gringotts connections to provide transportation without Dursley involvement. These excursions expanded his Muggle education while strengthening a potential future alliance. By his 10th birthday, Harry had established a multi-layered existence, the seemingly ordinary, slightly reserved nephew at Privet Drive, the academically gifted Harry who befriended Hermione, the magical apprentice training with Mrs. Figg and the Goblins, and the strategic planner preparing for eventual entrance into wizarding society. Each identity served his larger purpose, developing the knowledge, skills, and connections necessary to control his own destiny once he officially entered the magical world. 2 more years of preparation remained before Hogwarts. 2 years to transform from survivor to contender in the complex game awaiting him. The grimoire seemed to recognize his progress, revealing increasingly advanced magical concepts as his power and control grew. His wandless abilities now encompassed most standard curriculum through third year, while his occlumency shields could withstand moderate mental probing. Most importantly, Harry had developed the patience and discipline necessary for long-term strategic thinking. The boy who emerged from the purging ritual at 7 had wanted immediate justice against those who poisoned him. The young wizard approaching his 11th year understood that true victory required careful positioning, selective revelation, and precisely targeted action. Patience before vengeance. Preparation before confrontation. 2 more years until the real game began. The day Harry turned 11, 2 significant events coincided. The Dursleys, following their tradition of ignoring his birthday, had departed for a day trip to the seaside, leaving Harry alone at Privet Drive. This suited his plans perfectly, as Griphook was scheduled to deliver his most important acquisition yet, a custom wand created by a goblin craftsman outside Ministry regulation. Harry waited in his bedroom, monitoring the street through wards that alerted him to magical presences. Mid-morning, the wards chimed softly, indicating Griphook's arrival via disillusionment charm rather than the usual dramatic apparition. A soft tap at his window confirmed the goblin's presence. Harry disabled the security measures with a wave of his hand, admitting his longtime ally. "Happy birthday, Mr. Potter," Griphook said formally, revealing himself as the disillusionment faded. "I bring greetings from Director Ragnarok in this." He presented an ornate wooden box bearing the Potter crest. Harry accepted it reverently. "The wand is complete. Master Razortooth finished it yesterday," Griphook confirmed. "Crafted to your magical signature using materials with personal connection. It should perform optimally while remaining undetectable to Ministry traces." Harry opened the box carefully. Inside, nestled in black velvet, lay a wand unlike any illustrated in his textbooks. Rather than the polished, uniform appearance of wizard-made wands, this one possessed organic, flowing lines, dark wood with a subtle green-gold shimmer, wrapped at the handle with a fine silver wire that formed runic patterns. 11 inches precisely, Griphook explained. "The wood is from a lightning-struck oak on your family's Welsh property. The core combines 3 elements, a freely given phoenix feather from a bird connected to your family, a strand of your mother's hair preserved in your family vault, and a silver filament infused with your own blood magic." Harry lifted the wand, gasping as warmth flooded through his arm. Green and gold sparks erupted from the tip, swirling around him in a protective helix before settling into his skin like absorbed light. "The wand recognizes you," Griphook observed with satisfaction. "It should amplify your wandless abilities rather than replacing them, a conduit rather than a crutch, as wizard wands tend to be." Harry tested this immediately, casting a simple Lumos both wandlessly and with the wand. The wandless version produced a steady glow above his palm. The wand version created a miniature sun that briefly illuminated the entire room before he hastily reduced its intensity. "Impressive," Griphook noted dryly, blinking away spots from his vision. "You'll need to calibrate your power when using the wand. Your wandless practice has built unusual magical muscle, so to speak." Harry spent the next hour practicing basic spells, marveling at the difference the wand made. Charms that required concentration wandlessly flowed effortlessly. Transfigurations maintained greater stability. Even his occlumency shield strengthened when reinforced through the wand. "This changes everything," Harry murmured, reluctantly returning the wand to its box. "How am I supposed to wait another month before using it regularly?" "Patience, Mr. Potter," Griphook reminded him. "Your Hogwarts letter should arrive soon. Once officially acknowledged by the wizarding world, you can practice more openly under the exemptions for pre-Hogwarts preparation." Harry nodded, securing the wand box in his trunk's hidden compartment. "Has there been any unusual activity around Privet Drive? Any sign Dumbledore suspects my preparations?" "Nothing concerning," Griphook assured him. "Mrs. Fig continues to report your unremarkable development to Dumbledore monthly. His surveillance consists mainly of monitoring the blood wards and occasional flyovers by Order members disillusioned on brooms." "And the male wards?" "Still in place," Griphook confirmed. Any post addressed to Harry Potter is redirected to Dumbledore's screening system before delivery here. Your Hogwarts letter will likely arrive through this filter, possibly hand-delivered to ensure your response. Harry had long suspected Dumbledore intercepted his mail. The complete absence of correspondence from the wizarding world despite his fame couldn't be coincidental. This confirmation reinforced his decision to maintain separate contact channels through Gringotts. One more matter, Griphook said, producing a scroll sealed with the Gringotts crest. Director Ragnarok's birthday gift, the complete genealogy of House Potter, including previously obscured connections through your grandmother's line. Harry accepted the scroll eagerly. His family history remained one of his most precious areas of study, each discovered connection to the past strengthening his sense of identity beyond the boy who lived. Please convey my gratitude to the director, Harry said formally. This means more than he knows. Griphook nodded, understanding the significance. He suggested you might find the Peveril connection particularly interesting, given certain items in your family vault. Before Harry could inquire further, his magical alarms vibrated. Someone with significant magical power had entered Privet Drive's vicinity. We have company, Harry whispered, activating the room's security wards. Magical signature approaching from the west. Griphook immediately disillusioned himself. I'll remain as backup. Likely your Hogwarts letter courier, but caution is warranted. Harry moved to the window, extending his magical senses as taught by his goblin instructors. The approaching signature felt orderly, controlled, but undeniably powerful, a focused beam rather than Dumbledore's reported ambient glow. A tall, severe-looking woman in emerald robes approached the house, her posture rigid with purpose. Though dressed in Muggle-passing clothing, a conservative dress and jacket, her wizarding origin remained obvious to trained eyes. Minerva McGonagall, Harry identified, recognizing her from Mrs. Figg's descriptions and memory-shared images. Hogwarts Deputy Headmistress. Dumbledore's right hand, but not necessarily privy to all his schemes. A calculated choice, Griphook observed invisibly. Sending his deputy maintains official protocol while ensuring your introduction to the wizarding world comes through Dumbledore's trusted ally. Harry nodded, quickly reviewing his planned approach. Time for Harry Potter, ordinary Muggle-raised boy, to make his appearance. He disabled his room's magical protections, concealing their existence rather than removing them. A subtle glamour charm, wandless and therefore undetectable by ministry standards, muted the healthy glow his proper nutrition and exercise regimen had produced, returning him to the slightly undersized appearance expected of a neglected child. Good luck, Mr. Potter, Griphook whispered as Harry descended the stairs. Remember your training. Harry approached the front door just as Professor McGonagall rang the bell. Mentally shifting into the persona crafted for this moment, curious but uninformed, intelligent but unaware of his significance, he opened the door with a polite but questioning expression. Hello. McGonagall blinked, seemingly surprised to find him answering the door alone. Mr. Potter. Harry Potter. Harry nodded cautiously. Yes, ma'am. My aunt and uncle aren't home right now, if you're looking for them. Actually, Mr. Potter, it's you I've come to see. She presented a heavy parchment envelope bearing a wax seal. I am Professor Minerva McGonagall, Deputy Headmistress of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. I believe you'll find this of interest. Harry accepted the letter, maintaining an expression of confused curiosity as he examined the emerald ink addressing him specifically to the second bedroom at number 4 Privet Drive. Witchcraft and Wizardry, he echoed, allowing his voice to carry appropriate skepticism. Is this some kind of joke? McGonagall's expression softened slightly. No, Mr. Potter. It is not a joke. You are a wizard, as were your parents before you. Hogwarts is where they learn to use their magical abilities, as you will too, should you accept your place. Harry opened the envelope carefully, reading the acceptance letter and supply list with apparent first-time wonder. His acting skills, honed through years of concealing his true abilities from the Dursleys, served him perfectly now. "This can't be real," he said, looking up at McGonagall. "Magic isn't real. Uncle Vernon says." "I imagine Vernon Dursley says many things about matters he doesn't understand," McGonagall interrupted crisply. "Perhaps a demonstration would be convincing." At Harry's cautious nod, McGonagall drew her wand and transformed the Dursleys' prized vase into a tortoise, then back again. Harry allowed his eyes to widen appropriately. "That's incredible. And you're saying I can do things like that?" "With proper training, yes." McGonagall studied him closely. "You've never noticed unusual things happening around you, particularly when you were frightened or angry?" Harry hesitated, as if reluctant to admit to abnormality. "Sometimes. Things breaking without being touched. Finding myself suddenly somewhere else when Dudley's gang was chasing me." He paused. "Once I turned my teacher's hair blue." McGonagall's lips twitched. "Accidental magic. Perfectly normal for young wizards and witches before they learn control." "And my parents?" Harry asked softly. "They were magical too. They didn't die in a car crash." McGonagall's expression tightened. "A car crash? Is that what you've been told? Lily and James Potter died heroes, protecting you from a very dark wizard. They were exceptional people, Mr. Potter. Among the finest students I ever taught." Harry allowed genuine emotion to surface, the grief and longing for the parents he'd never known. "No one ever talks about them. I don't even know what they looked like." Something in McGonagall's stern demeanor cracked. "That is, most unfortunate. Perhaps we might discuss this inside, Mr. Potter. There is much you should know about your heritage." Harry invited her in, maintaining his carefully crafted persona while absorbing every detail of their conversation. McGonagall explained the basics of the wizarding world, Hogwarts house system, and the general structure of magical education. When she broached the subject of his fame and Voldemort's attack, Harry displayed appropriate shock and confusion. "People know who I am. Because of something that happened when I was a baby?" he asked incredulously. "That doesn't make sense. I didn't do anything." "Nevertheless, you survived what no one else ever has," McGonagall explained. "The wizarding world has expectations regarding you, Mr. Potter. Some of them quite unreasonable. I would advise you to prepare yourself for attention you may find uncomfortable." Harry nodded solemnly. "I understand. Thank you for warning me, Professor." Their conversation turned to practical matters, acquiring school supplies, accessing funds, which Harry pretended to know nothing about, and transportation to Hogwarts. "I would typically escort Muggle-raised students to Diagon Alley personally," McGonagall explained, "but given your particular circumstances, the headmaster thought it best if Hagrid, our gamekeeper, accompanies you instead. He was a friend of your parents and is quite eager to meet you." Harry noted this deviation from standard procedure, another indication of Dumbledore's special interest in controlling his introduction to the wizarding world. "That sounds great," he said enthusiastically. "When would we go?" "Hagrid will collect you tomorrow morning," McGonagall informed him. "He'll help you navigate Diagon Alley and explain anything I've overlooked." She hesitated. "Will your aunt and uncle object to your attendance at Hogwarts?" Harry considered this question carefully. "They don't like anything unusual," he admitted. "But they also don't like having me around during school holidays. Boarding school might appeal to them, even a magical one." McGonagall's expression suggested she had choice words about the Dursleys she was professionally restraining. "I see. Well, should you encounter any difficulties regarding their permission, please notify us immediately." As their meeting concluded, Harry maintained his wide-eyed, newly introduced to magic persona while mentally cataloging everything McGonagall had revealed, both intentionally and unintentionally. Her body language, specific word choices, and emotional reactions provided valuable intelligence about Dumbledore's approach and her own position within it. After escorting McGonagall to the door with appropriate gratitude, Harry returned to his bedroom where Griphook waited, still disillusioned. "Impressive performance, Mr. Potter," the goblin commented, revealing himself once privacy wards reactivated. You conveyed exactly the image they expect. Harry grinned, dropping the submissive posture and uncertain expression. She suspects nothing. Dumbledore's sending Hagrid tomorrow, likely with specific instructions about which shops to visit and what to tell me. As anticipated, Griphook nodded. The gamekeeper is loyal to Dumbledore but lacks subtlety or occlumency shields. Your direct questions will likely receive honest, if incomplete, answers. And my trust key? Harry asked. Will Hagrid have it? Almost certainly. Dumbledore has maintained possession of your key despite our formal requests for its return. Griphook's expression turned sly. However, that key accesses only your trust vault, the visible portion of your inheritance he knows about. Your family vault, political proxies, and additional properties remain secure under our management. Harry nodded, satisfied with this arrangement. Let Dumbledore believe he controlled Harry's finances through the trust vault. The real wealth and power of House Potter remained hidden, accessible only through his heir ring and goblin allies. Tomorrow begins the public phase, Harry noted, excitement creeping into his voice despite years of practiced control. Everything until now has been preparation. Tomorrow, Harry Potter officially enters the wizarding world. Remember your training, Griphook cautioned. First impressions matter greatly. The persona you establish now will shape how others approach you. Harry agreed, already planning his strategy for the Diagon Alley visit. Wide-eyed but quick learning. Curious about my parents and history. Excited about magic but not overly knowledgeable. Just enough confidence to avoid appearing a complete pushover. And if you encounter unexpected persons of interest? Griphook prompted. Assess before engaging, Harry recited. Observe relationship dynamics. Note who defers to whom. Identify potential allies and threats without revealing my own assessment. Griphook nodded approvingly. You've learned well, Mr. Potter. Director Ragnarok will be monitoring your Gringotts visit remotely. Should you need emergency extraction, activate your air ring with 3 counterclockwise turns. After Griphook departed, Harry spent the evening reviewing his mental files on key Hogwarts personnel and potential first-year classmates. The faces, backgrounds, and political affiliations of dozens of prominent wizarding families were organized behind his occlumency shields, ready for instant recall when needed. His custom wand remained hidden in its special compartment, a secret advantage to be revealed only when strategically necessary. For now, he would use whatever ministry-approved wand chose him at Ollivanders, establishing official records while keeping his true capabilities private. When the Dursleys returned that evening, Harry casually mentioned a school representative had visited regarding his secondary education. Vernon's suspicion turned to delight when Harry emphasized the full-year boarding aspect, with minimal home stays required. Some special academic program? Vernon questioned, already warming to the idea of Harry's prolonged absence. Something like that, Harry agreed vaguely. They're sending someone tomorrow to discuss the details and take me shopping for supplies. Petunia's expression flickered with something beyond her usual disdain, recognition, perhaps, or old fear. But she said nothing as Vernon enthusiastically approved this development. That night, in the privacy of his room, Harry opened his family grimoire to find new sections accessible, advanced material previously hidden until his magical maturity reached appropriate levels. The book seemed to sense the significance of this day, offering congratulations in flowing script before revealing techniques for weather manipulation, advanced battle transfiguration, and something called Parseltongue enhancement. For years of disciplined preparation had transformed Harry from a potion puppet into a formidable young wizard with resources, knowledge, and allies beyond Dumbledore's awareness. Tomorrow would test those preparations against the realities of wizarding society. Tomorrow, the true game would begin. Harry fell asleep visualizing the chessboard of his future, pieces aligned for optimal positioning. In his dreams, a phoenix feather wand chose him while its brother remained hidden nearby, already bound to his core through blood and intent. Tomorrow, Harry Potter would return to the world that had tried to control him, clear-eyed, prepared, and secretly more powerful than anyone suspected. Patience before vengeance. Preparation before confrontation. The wait was almost over. Chapter 2, The Awakening. Harry woke before sunrise, anticipation humming through his veins. Today wasn't just his official introduction to the wizarding world, it was the first real test of 4 years of preparation. He moved through his morning routine with practiced efficiency, layering his appearance carefully. Clothes just shabby enough to match the Dursleys' neglect without hampering mobility. Hair deliberately messy to cover his scar. Glasses adjusted to appear more necessary than they actually were after goblin healers had partially corrected his vision. The mirror reflected exactly what Dumbledore would expect, an undersized, wide-eyed boy eager for escape from his Muggle prison. Perfect. Behind that carefully constructed image, Harry's mind worked rapidly. Hagrid would arrive soon, Dumbledore's chosen ambassador. The gamekeeper's loyalty to the headmaster was absolute according to all intelligence, but his honesty was equally renowned. A strategic combination of innocent questions and attentive listening should yield valuable information. Vernon stomped down the stairs, pausing at Harry's doorway. This school person, when exactly are they arriving? The letter said early morning, Harry replied. They'll take me for school supplies and explain everything to me. He added hesitantly, there's no cost to you. Apparently my parents left money for my education. Vernon's eyes narrowed at the mention of Harry's parents, but the promise of free boarding school overrode his usual disdain. Well, be ready then. I won't have these freaks, these people thinking we don't keep you presentable. Harry suppressed a smile. Vernon's sudden concern about appearances was predictable, fear of judgment from outsiders always trumped his dislike of Harry. A thunderous knock rattled the front door precisely at 8:30. Harry hung back, allowing Vernon to answer while positioning himself for optimal observation. The door swung open to reveal an enormous figure filling the entire frame, a giant of a man with wild hair and beard obscuring most of his face. Mornin', the giant boomed cheerfully. Yeah, must be Mr. Dursley. I'm Rubeus Hagrid, keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. Come fair Harry. Vernon made a strangled noise, stumbling backward as Hagrid ducked to enter the house. Harry stepped forward, allowing his eyes to widen with appropriate amazement. You're from Hogwarts? He asked, injecting wonder into his voice. Hagrid's beetle-black eyes crinkled as he smiled through his tangled beard. That I am. Last time I saw you, yeah, was just a tiny baby. Yeah, look like your dad, but Yevi got your mum's eyes. Harry let genuine emotion surface at this first personal detail about his parents. You knew them? My parents? Oh, course I did. Lily and James were among the best Hogwarts ever saw. Hagrid's expression darkened as he glanced at the Dursleys hovering nervously in the hallway. I expect these muggles haven't told you much about your real family. They told me they died in a car crash, Harry said quietly, watching Hagrid's reaction. Car crash. Hagrid roared, causing Vernon to flinch violently. A car crash kill Lily and James Potter? It's an outrage. A scandal. Harry Potter not knowing his own story when every kid in our world knows his name. Petunia made a small, frightened sound and retreated toward the kitchen. Hagrid turned to Harry, his massive hands gesturing expressively. Sit down, Harry. It's time ya learned the truth about your parents and yourself. Over the next 30 minutes, Hagrid delivered a simplified version of Harry's history, his parents' fight against Voldemort, their murder, Harry's miraculous survival, and his subsequent fame. Harry listened attentively, asking questions that maintained his ignorant persona while extracting additional details. So this Voldemort killed my parents but couldn't kill me? Why not? Harry asked. That's the biggest mystery of all, Hagrid admitted. He was the most powerful dark wizard in generations. No one survived once he decided to kill them, no one except you. That's why you're famous. That's why you're the boy who lived. Harry absorbed Hagrid's explanation, noting what remained unmentioned, Dumbledore's role in placing him with the Dursleys, the prophecy Ragnarok had hinted existed, the matter of his parents' will. All strategic omissions, likely on Dumbledore's instructions. And where was Voldemort's body? Harry asked innocently. If he died trying to kill me? Well, that's another strange thing, Hagrid said, looking uncomfortable. They never found his body. Most reckon he died, but Dumbledore, great man, Dumbledore, he always said you know who wasn't really gone. Just lost his powers, like. Interesting. So Dumbledore acknowledged Voldemort's potential return while allowing the wizarding world to believe otherwise. File that away. Enough about dark times. Hagrid suddenly declared, pulling an envelope from his massive coat. Got your letter right here, and it's time we got your school supplies. We've got a big day ahead. How do we get to where they sell magic supplies? Harry asked, accepting his already opened Hogwarts letter. Another detail noted, Hagrid carrying his letter despite McGonagall delivering one yesterday. We'll be heading to London, to Diagon Alley, Hagrid explained. It's where wizards and witches shop for everything magical. But first, he produced a slightly squashed box. Happy birthday, Harry. Might be a day late, but I thought ya deserved a proper cake. Harry opened the box to find a sticky chocolate cake with, Happy Birthday Harry, written in green icing. The unexpected gesture caught him off guard, triggering a genuine smile. You remembered my birthday? Thank you, Hagrid. The giant's eyes crinkled warmly. Oh, course I remembered. Carried ya out of the ruins of your parents' house myself, on Dumbledore's orders. Never forgot that day. Another valuable piece of information freely given. Hagrid had been at Godric's Hollow after the attack, on Dumbledore's orders. Who else was there? After it happened? Harry asked, maintaining his innocent curiosity. Well, Sirius Black showed up, your godfather, though we didn't know he was a traitor then. Hagrid's expression darkened. Wanted to take ya himself, but I had Dumbledore's orders. Black gave me his flying motorcycle to take ya to your aunt and uncle. Godfather? The information blindsided Harry despite years of research. Neither Mrs. Fig nor the goblins had mentioned a godfather named Sirius Black. Something crucial was missing here, something deliberately kept from him. I had a godfather. What happened to him? Hagrid's expression grew thunderous. Turned out he was working for you-know-who. Betrayed your parents' hiding place, then killed another friend of theirs, Peter Pettigrew, along with a dozen muggles. He's in Azkaban prison now, wizard prison, he clarified, seeing Harry's confusion. Terrible place. No one ever escapes. Harry filed this information away for urgent investigation. A godfather, a traitor, imprisonment. None of this appeared in any material he'd accessed through Gringotts or Mrs. Fig. We should get going, Harry said, processing this revelation while maintaining his facade. Do I need to bring anything special? Just yourself, Hagrid assured him. We'll get everything ye need in Diagon Alley. Got your key right here. He patted his coat pocket significantly. Harry nodded, eyes widening appropriately at the mention of a key while inwardly noting another confirmation, Dumbledore had indeed maintained control of his trust vault key all these years. The journey to London provided Harry with invaluable insights into both the wizarding world and Hagrid himself. The gamekeeper's open nature made him an ideal information source, answering Harry's stream of seemingly innocent questions with unguarded honesty. Harry learned about the Ministry of Magic, the different Hogwarts houses. Not a witch or wizard who went bad wasn't in Slytherin, Hagrid claimed, revealing his bias, and fascinating details about magical creatures that Hagrid clearly adored. Most importantly, Harry confirmed Hagrid's absolute faith in Albus Dumbledore. Great man, Dumbledore, became a frequent refrain, with Hagrid defending even questionable decisions like Harry's placement with the Dursleys. Dumbledore said ya had to stay with your aunt and uncle, Hagrid explained when Harry cautiously raised the subject. Something about blood protection through your mother's family. He always has his reasons, Dumbledore does, even if they ain't clear to the rest of us. They arrived at the Leaky Cauldron shortly before noon. Harry prepared himself for the first public test of his persona as Hagrid ushered him through the door with a massive hand on his shoulder. "The usual, Hagrid," called the bartender before spotting Harry. His eyes widened. "Good Lord, can this be?" The Leaky Cauldron fell suddenly silent. Harry felt every eye turn toward him as the bartender whispered, "Bless my soul. Harry Potter, what an honor." What followed was Harry's first experience with his celebrity, a chaotic swirl of handshakes, tearful greetings, and reverent stares. He navigated it with calculated humility, appearing simultaneously overwhelmed and appreciative. His acclimacy shields remained firmly in place, protecting his true thoughts while he studied each person who approached him. A nervous, twitching young man in a purple turban proved particularly interesting. "P.P. Potter," he stammered, shaking Harry's hand. "Can't tell you how pleased I am to meet you. Professor Quirrell." Hagrid boomed. "Harry, Professor Quirrell will be your defense against the dark arts teacher at Hogwarts." Harry studied the trembling professor carefully, noting the strange contrast between his anxious demeanor and the sharp assessment in his eyes. Most telling, when they shook hands, Harry's scar prickled uncomfortably, an unprecedented reaction since the purging ritual. "Fascinating subject, defense against the dark arts," Quirrell commented, avoiding Harry's gaze. "And not that you need it, P.P. Potter." Harry filed away this strange encounter for later analysis as Hagrid finally extracted him from the crowd. They passed through the brick wall entrance to Diagon Alley, where Harry allowed himself an appropriately amazed reaction to maintain his cover. "Gringotts first," Hagrid announced, pointing toward the imposing white marble building. "Wizard Bank. Run by goblins, so don't try anything funny. Clever as they come, goblins, but not the friendliest of beasts." Harry suppressed a smile at this assessment, following Hagrid up the stone steps. The goblin guards at the entrance recognized Harry immediately, a subtle nod confirming their awareness without compromising his cover. Inside, Hagrid approached a counter, drawing himself up importantly. "Morning. We've come to take some money out of Mr. Harry Potter's vault." "You have his key, sir?" the goblin teller asked with barely concealed disdain. "Got it here somewhere," Hagrid muttered, emptying his pockets onto the counter in a disorganized heap before finally producing a tiny golden key. "Here's the little devil." The goblin examined it closely. "That seems to be in order. I will have someone take you down to the vault." "Griphook." Harry maintained his wide-eyed innocent expression while catching Griphook's eye. The goblin's face remained professionally neutral, but a subtle finger gesture indicated recognition of their predicament. "Maintain the charade completely." "What's the you-know-what in Vault 713? Harry asked Hagrid innocently as they climbed into the cart, having noticed the gamekeeper's mention of other Hogwarts business. "Can't tell ya that," Hagrid said mysteriously. "Very secret. Hogwarts business. Dumbledore's trusted me, see." The cart ride provided Harry his first official glimpse of the upper levels of Gringotts, the public face of the bank far different from the secure ritual chambers and private meeting rooms he'd accessed through his Goblin alliance. When they reached his trust vault, Harry made an appropriate show of amazement at the piles of gold, silver, and bronze coins. While Hagrid explained the wizard currency system, Griphook managed to slip Harry a folded note while helping him fill a money bag. They proceeded to Vault 713, where Hagrid collected a small, grubby package wrapped in brown paper. Harry noted the high-security nature of the vault and Hagrid's obvious nervousness about its contents, another piece in the unfolding puzzle of Dumbledore's current activities. Back in the sunlight outside Gringotts, Harry suggested they separate briefly to accomplish more shopping. "I need to get fitted for robes," he explained. "You look a bit peaky from the cart ride, Hagrid. Maybe you could get a pick-me-up at the Leaky Cauldron while I do that. Then we could meet up after." Hagrid agreed readily, grateful for the chance to settle his stomach. The moment he disappeared toward the pub, Harry slipped into a narrow alley and quickly read Griphook's note. Herr Potter, Director Ragnarok awaits you in the silver door behind Twilfit and Tattings. 20 minutes maximum to maintain your cover. Destroy this note. Harry committed the instructions to memory before igniting the note wandlessly and grinding the ash beneath his shoe. He navigated the busy street confidently, locating the upscale clothing shop and the discreet silver door in the alley behind it. The door recognized his air ring, admitting him to a luxurious private conference room where Ragnarok waited with a thick folder of documents. Brief but necessary, the Goblin director said without preamble. Several urgent matters require your attention before you enter Hogwarts. Harry nodded, immediately shifting from his naive persona to his true strategic mindset. The information about my godfather caught me completely off guard. Sirius Black was never mentioned in any of our previous discussions. A deliberate omission by Dumbledore in all official records, Ragnarok confirmed grimly. We've been investigating since detecting anomalies in your parents' will execution. Black was indeed named your godfather under an unbreakable magical oath. The role carries significant legal and magical implications that should have prevented your placement with the Dursleys. Yet Hagrid says Black betrayed my parents to Voldemort, Harry pointed out. So the official ministry record states, Ragnarok agreed. However, our investigation has uncovered disturbing inconsistencies. Black was imprisoned without trial, unusual even during wartime, and the transcripts of his arrest include no mention of Veritaserum questioning or memory examination. Harry processed this with growing alarm. You believe he might be innocent? Framed? We lack conclusive evidence either way, Ragnarok admitted. But consider this, if Black truly betrayed your parents, his godfather oath would have killed him instantly. The fact he survived suggests either a loophole in the oath's wording or his innocence. This changes everything, Harry murmured. If my rightful guardian was wrongfully imprisoned, Dumbledore's entire justification for placing me with the Dursleys collapses. Precisely, Ragnarok agreed. We've initiated discreet legal inquiries, but progress is slow given Black's infamous status. For now, maintain your existing strategy while we gather evidence. They moved through the remaining agenda items efficiently, updated financial reports, property assessments, and political developments within the Wizengamot. Most critically, Ragnarok provided intelligence about Harry's future classmates, including detailed family connections and political alignments. Draco Malfoy will likely approach you, Ragnarok advised. His father Lucius served Voldemort while claiming imperious coercion. The Malfoys seek political advantage through all available channels, including potential friendship with the boy who lived. Harry nodded, absorbing the information. And the Weasleys? After discovering their involvement in the potions scheme, I need to know which family members were knowing participants. Our intelligence suggests only Molly Weasley was fully complicit, Ragnarok replied. Arthur appears ignorant, though willfully blind to his wife's activities. Their youngest son Ronald has been groomed as your intended, best friend, but likely doesn't understand the manipulation behind it. The twins operate independently, while Percy emulates ministry ambitions rather than Dumbledore's agenda. And the girl? Ginny? Being prepared as a potential future match for you, Ragnarok said bluntly. Love potions were found among Molly's personal supplies during our covert investigation. Harry's expression hardened momentarily before he regained control. Thank you for the warning. I'll proceed accordingly. As their meeting concluded, Ragnarok handed Harry a small golden device resembling a pocket watch. A communication channel more immediate than the mirror. Press the crown 3 times in succession for emergency extraction if necessary. Harry secured it in his pocket, grateful for the additional safeguard. What about my wand situation? Ollivander's is closely monitored by the Ministry. Proceed normally, Ragnarok advised. Accept whatever wand chooses you for official records. Your custom wand remains your true instrument, undetectable by Ministry traces. With time running short, Harry thanked Ragnarok and departed through a concealed exit that returned him to Diagon Alley near Madame Malkin's robe shop, his ostensible destination. He entered the shop, finding it occupied by a pale, pointed-faced boy already being fitted. Harry recognized Draco Malfoy immediately from intelligence briefings. This would be his first direct interaction with a future classmate from a politically significant family. He adopted his carefully calibrated persona, slightly naive but not unintelligent, curious but reserved. Hogwarts too? Malfoy asked as Harry climbed onto the adjacent footstool. Yes, Harry replied simply, offering neither name nor elaboration yet. My father's next door buying my books and mother's up the street looking at wands, Malfoy said in a bored, drawling voice. Then I'm going to drag them off to look at racing brooms. I don't see why first years can't have their own. I think I'll bully father into getting me one and I'll smuggle it in somehow. Harry listened attentively, analyzing Malfoy's speech patterns, priorities, and entitlement. The boy continued without encouragement, revealing his prejudices against Muggleborns. I don't think they should let the other sort in, his family's Slytherin history, and his opinions on Quidditch. When Malfoy finally asked, "What's your surname, anyway?" Harry was saved from responding by Madame Malkin announcing that Malfoy's robes were finished. Well, I'll see you at Hogwarts, I suppose, Malfoy said, leaving without learning Harry's identity. Strategic interaction complete, Harry had gathered information while revealing nothing. Perfect. Harry finished his robe fitting just as Hagrid appeared outside the shop window, holding 2 large ice creams. They continued their shopping expedition with Harry maintaining his wide-eyed persona while making subtle, strategic choices whenever possible. At Flourish and Blots, while Hagrid wasn't looking, Harry added several supplementary texts to his required school books, Advanced Magical Theory, Hogwarts, A History, and Modern Magical Political Structures. In the apothecary, he selected higher quality ingredients than the basic student kit, explaining innocently to Hagrid that he wanted to do well in potions class. Their final stop was Ollivander's wand shop, the moment Harry had carefully prepared for. The ancient wandmaker's silver eyes seemed to see through Harry's carefully constructed facade as he measured every aspect of Harry's body while explaining wand lore. Every Ollivander wand has a core of a powerful magical substance, Mr. Potter, he explained. We use unicorn hairs, phoenix tail feathers, and dragon heartstrings. No 2 Ollivander wands are the same, just as no 2 unicorns, dragons, or phoenixes are quite the same. And of course, you will never get such good results with another wizard's wand. The wandmaker's scrutiny intensified as Harry tried wand after wand with deliberately inconsistent results, allowing some to produce weak effects while others did nothing at all. Harry carefully modulated his magic, neither suppressing it completely nor revealing his true capabilities. Tricky customer, eh? Ollivander seemed delighted rather than frustrated. Not to worry, we'll find the perfect match here somewhere. When Ollivander finally presented a holly and phoenix feather wand, Harry felt the expected resonance, similar to his custom wand but less perfectly aligned. He allowed the wand to produce a moderate display of gold and red sparks, enough to satisfy expectations without revealing the full extent of his power. Curious, very curious. Ollivander muttered, studying Harry intently. Sorry, Harry prompted, but what's curious? I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter. Every single wand. It so happens that the phoenix whose tail feather is in your wand gave another feather, just one other. It is very curious indeed that you should be destined for this wand when its brother, why, its brother gave you that scar. Harry displayed appropriate shock while inwardly noting that this connection had been anticipated by Ragnarok. Their intelligence on wand lore had predicted this outcome, that Harry and Voldemort would share core materials given their magical connection. Yes, curious indeed how these things happen, Ollivander continued. The wand chooses the wizard, remember. I think we must expect great things from you, Mr. Potter. After all, he who must not be named did great things, terrible, yes, but great. As they left the shop, Harry mentally added Ollivander to his list of people requiring careful handling. The wandmaker saw too much, understood too deeply. A potential ally, perhaps, but equally a potential security risk. The day concluded with Hagrid's surprise gift, a beautiful snowy owl that Harry genuinely appreciated, having researched wizard communication methods extensively. He named her Hedwig after a historical which mentioned in his reading, reinforcing his image as someone eager to embrace wizarding culture. As they finished their butterbeers in the leaky cauldron before returning to Privet Drive, Harry asked the question that had been carefully calculated to extract maximum information. "Hagrid, why does everyone think Voldemort's gone? If there wasn't a body?" The gamekeeper flinched at the name but answered honestly. "Some say he died. Codswallop, in my opinion. Dunno if he had enough human left in him to die. Some say he's still out there, bidden his time. But I don't believe it. People who was on his side came back ter hours. Some of them came out a kinda trances. Don reckon they could have done if he was comin' back." Harry nodded thoughtfully. "And the package from Vault 713? Is that related somehow? Something Voldemort would want?" Hagrid looked startled. "Sharp, aren't ye? But don't ask me any more. That's top secret, that is." "Sorry," Harry apologized quickly. "Just trying to understand everything." "'S'all right. Natural ter be curious." Hagrid beamed at him. "Your parents would be proud, Harry. Ta keen an interest, a skin, questions, your mum was just the same. Always wanted to know everything, she did." The comparison to his mother warmed Harry genuinely. Despite his strategic approach to this day, the personal connections to his parents, through Hagrid's memories and the wizarding world itself, affected him deeply. Back at Privet Drive, Hagrid handed Harry his train ticket for the Hogwarts Express. "1st September, King's Cross, it's all on your ticket. Any problems with the Dursleys, send me a letter with your owl. She'll know where to find me." Harry thanked him sincerely, maintaining his persona until Hagrid disappeared with a crack of apparition. Then, alone with his purchases, he allowed his strategic mind full rein again, analyzing the day's revelations and adjusting plans accordingly. In his bedroom, he immediately cast detection charms on all his new possessions, identifying 3 tracking charms, one on his trunk, one on his textbooks, and one cleverly concealed in his wand holster. Rather than removing them, he modified each to report predictable, ordinary movements, maintaining the illusion of an unaware subject. Harry then examined his official wand carefully, comparing it to his custom goblin-made wand. While the Ollivander wand responded adequately, it felt constraining compared to his custom wand's perfect resonance. For official lessons, he would use the Ollivander wand. For private practice and emergencies, his true wand remained concealed in its special holster, disillusioned against his forearm. Hedwig watched with intelligent amber eyes as Harry organized his new possessions, integrating them with his existing collection of magical texts and tools. He spoke to her softly, explaining her importance not just as a pet but as a strategic asset, independent magical transportation beyond Dumbledore's monitoring network. "We'll need to establish secure communication protocols," he told the owl, who bobbed her head as if understanding. "Letters to critical contacts will need concealment charms. You'll need to vary your flight patterns to avoid tracking." Hedwig hooted softly, seeming to accept these instructions. Harry smiled, stroking her feathers gently. Even tools could become allies with proper care. The remaining month before September 1st became a period of intensive preparation. Harry established a carefully balanced schedule, maintaining his naive, excited persona through occasional public appearances while dedicating private hours to advanced magical practice and strategic planning. Particularly crucial was his integration of Hogwarts textbooks with his existing knowledge base. Having already mastered much of the first-year curriculum, Harry focused on calibrating his classroom performance, determining exactly how much knowledge to display in each subject to appear talented but not suspiciously advanced. Outstanding but not revolutionary in charms and transfiguration, he noted in his planning journal. Solid but occasionally struggling in potions to counter expectations of failure. Genuinely curious in herbology and astronomy. Defense against the dark arts requires careful handling given Quirrell's strange reaction to me. Harry also dedicated significant time to researching his newly discovered godfather. Using his Gringotts connections and Mrs. Figg's access to old Daily Prophet archives, he pieced together the official narrative of Sirius Black's betrayal and imprisonment. The lack of trial transcripts or witness testimonies beyond newspaper accounts reinforced Ragnarok's suspicions about procedural irregularities. Most disturbing was the timing, Black's arrest occurring during the chaotic period when Bartemius Crouch Sr. had authorized Aurors to use unforgivable curses and bypass normal judicial procedures. If Black had been railroaded during this period, correcting the injustice would require substantial political leverage that Harry didn't yet possess. For now, he filed the Black situation under long-term objectives requiring additional intelligence and resources. 2 weeks before departure, Harry executed his next strategic move, contacting Hermione Granger. Having confirmed through Mrs. Figg that Hermione had indeed received her Hogwarts letter, Harry arranged to meet her at their usual library under the pretense of discussing academic plans for the coming year. Hermione arrived buzzing with barely contained excitement, though clearly constrained by the secrecy requirements McGonagall had impressed upon her. "I got accepted to a special boarding school," she whispered when they secured a private corner of the library. "It's very exclusive, invitation only." Harry maintained his established persona as her academically gifted but ordinary friend. "That's brilliant, Hermione. Is it that advanced program in Scotland you mentioned before?" "Something like that," she hedged. "I can't say much about it, confidentiality agreements and all that. But it's exactly the kind of challenging environment I've been hoping for." She hesitated. "I'll miss our study sessions though." Harry allowed genuine emotion to surface. Hermione had become a true friend despite his strategic reservations about attachments. Her analytical mind and fierce intelligence made her a potential key ally at Hogwarts, if he could manage the transition from Muggle friendship to magical alliance without compromising his secrets. "Actually," he said carefully, "I've also been accepted to a boarding school. Starts September 1st. Hermione's eyes widened. "Really? Where?" "Scotland as well," Harry replied truthfully. "Very old institution. My parents attended there." He watched her process this information, noting the exact moment suspicion flickered across her expression. Hermione was too intelligent not to recognize the coincidence. "Harry," she said slowly. "This school you're attending, does it happen to be rather unusual in its curriculum?" Harry smiled, making a calculated decision. "You could say that. I suspect we're going to the same place, Hermione." Her expression shifted from suspicion to shock to delight in rapid succession. She caught herself, lowering her voice to the barest whisper. "You're a wizard too." Harry nodded, leaning forward conspiratorially. "And you're a witch. Brilliant, isn't it? Though not entirely surprising in your case. You've always been exceptional." Hermione blushed at the compliment before launching into an excited whispered account of Professor McGonagall's visit, her trip to Diagon Alley, and the mountain of books she'd already read about the wizarding world. "I've memorized all our course books," she admitted. "And I've been practicing a few simple spells with my wand, just in the house, of course, where the Ministry can't detect it because of the reasonable restriction of underage sorcery." Harry filed away this confirmation that the Ministry indeed monitored wand magic specifically rather than magical signatures generally, validating his strategy of wandless practice. "That's impressive," he said sincerely. "I've only tried a few simple charms myself." This strategic understatement established his position as knowledgeable but not threatening to Hermione's academic self-image, crucial for their future dynamic at Hogwarts. "Have you read about the house system?" Hermione asked eagerly. "I'm hoping for Gryffindor, it sounds by far the best. I hear Dumbledore himself was in it. But Ravenclaw wouldn't be too bad, I suppose." Harry nodded thoughtfully. "I've been reading about the houses too. They all have their strengths, really. Gryffindor values courage, Ravenclaw intelligence, Hufflepuff loyalty, Slytherin ambition. But Slytherin has a terrible reputation, Hermione pointed out. Almost every dark wizard came from there. That's what I've heard, Harry acknowledged, carefully avoiding endorsing or contradicting this perspective. Though I wonder if that's causation or correlation. Does Slytherin create dark wizards, or do certain personalities simply sort into Slytherin and make different choices? Hermione looked intrigued by this philosophical question. I hadn't considered that angle. It's rather like nature versus nurture in psychology. Their conversation continued, with Harry strategically reinforcing their intellectual connection while establishing subtle positioning as someone thoughtful and nuanced rather than rigidly partisan. He planted seeds for Hermione to question established narratives while maintaining his image as a fellow newcomer to magical society. By the time they parted, Harry had accomplished his primary objective, ensuring Hermione would seek him out on the Hogwarts Express rather than forming initial alliances with others. Her analytical mind and prodigious knowledge would prove valuable assets in navigating the complex social and political landscape of Hogwarts. See you on September 1st, then, she said excitedly as they left the library. Platform 9 3/4. Harry smiled. Looking forward to it. We'll tackle this new world together. The final week before departure became a flurry of last-minute preparations. Harry reviewed his strategic planning journals, memorized key information about influential wizarding families, and practiced rapidly switching between his various personas, the wide-eyed newcomer, the thoughtful student, the strategic planner, and if necessary, the combat-ready defender. His communication channels were verified and secured, Hedwig trained for secure deliveries, his enchanted journal linked to Mrs. Fig operational, his Gringotts emergency contact protocols tested and confirmed. Most importantly, Harry prepared mentally for the imminent confrontation with the wizarding world's expectations. For 4 years, he had developed in relative isolation, shielded from external pressures and manipulations. At Hogwarts, he would face constant scrutiny, persistent attempts to influence him, and the weight of a fame he neither earned nor desired. The night before departure, Harry sat cross-legged on his bed, his custom wand balanced across his palms, eyes closed in meditation. His occlumency shield cycled through configurations, defensive barriers against intrusion, organizational structures for information processing, and emotional filters to maintain control under pressure. Patience before vengeance, he whispered the goblin mantra. Preparation before confrontation. The wand pulsed warmly in response, its core resonating with his resolved intent. Tomorrow, the true test would begin. 4 years of preparation would face its first major challenge. Harry Potter was ready. King's Cross Station bustled with ordinary Monday morning activity as Harry navigated through the crowd, pushing his trolley with Hedwig's cage secured on top. The Dursleys had dropped him off with sneering predictions of failure when he explained the need to find platform 9 3/4. Harry located the barrier between platforms 9 and 10 easily, having researched the entrance thoroughly. He paused strategically, scanning for other wizarding families while appearing slightly lost and confused for the benefit of any observers. His patience was rewarded when a large family of redheads approached, discussing muggles loudly enough to identify themselves as wizards. Harry immediately recognized the Weasleys from his intelligence briefings and Diagon Alley sighting, Molly shepherding her children with Percy, the twins Fred and George, Ron, and young Ginny in tow. This encounter presented both opportunity and risk. The Weasleys were known Dumbledore allies, with Molly directly implicated in the potioning scheme. Yet establishing a seemingly coincidental first meeting would provide valuable cover for Harry's knowledge of the platform entrance while allowing him to assess each family member individually. Harry approached cautiously, adopting his naive, slightly overwhelmed persona. "Excuse me," he said to Mrs. Weasley. "Could you tell me how to get onto the platform, dear?" she finished with a warm smile that didn't quite reach her calculating eyes. "Not to worry, it's Ron's first time to Hogwarts as well." She explained the platform entrance while studying Harry intently. The moment of recognition came as expected, her eyes flicking to his forehead, widening in confirmation. "Harry Potter," she breathed, not quite a question. The youngest boy gaped openly while the little girl squealed in excitement. The twins exchanged significant glances, their expressions more thoughtful than surprised. Yes, Harry admitted, feigning slight discomfort at the recognition. Oh, you poor dear, Molly fussed, suddenly maternal. All alone. How did you even know about the platform? It was on my ticket, Harry explained simply. And Hagrid mentioned it when he took me shopping for school supplies. This strategic revelation established his narrative, guided by Hagrid but otherwise navigating independently, creating the image of a resourceful but unsupported child ripe for Molly's particular brand of smothering assistance. Well, you go through first, dear, she encouraged. Before Ron. Fred and George can help with your trunk. Harry thanked her politely, accepting minimal assistance while maintaining independence. He stored away detailed observations of each family member, Percy's pompous self-importance, the twins' shrewd assessment partially hidden behind joking exteriors, Ron's mixture of awe and what seemed like predetermined resentment, Ginny's hero worship clearly nurtured by those fictional Adventures of Harry Potter books. Most revealing was Molly herself, the solicitous concern layered over calculating assessment, the too convenient arrival just when Harry appeared lost, the immediate offer to integrate him into her family unit. Confirmation of Ragnarok's intelligence about her assigned role in Dumbledore's plans. Once through the barrier, Harry thanked the twins for their help and moved purposefully down the platform, maintaining a careful distance from the Weasley family while appearing simply eager to board. He selected a compartment near the middle of the train, not too isolated at the end, not too centralized at the front. Strategic positioning for observation and controlled interactions. After stowing his trunk, Harry settled by the window, watching the platform fill with students and families. He identified several politically significant families from his briefing materials, the Abbotts, the Bones, the Macmillans among the lighter-aligned houses, the Knotts, Parkinsons, and Greengrasses representing traditionally darker alignments. Ron Weasley appeared at the compartment door minutes later, right on schedule according to Harry's prediction models. Anyone sitting there? He asked, pointing to the seat opposite Harry. Everywhere else is full. A quick assessment of the train suggested this was unlikely, they'd arrived relatively early, but Harry nodded welcomingly, maintaining his friendly, open persona. Ron's appearance here was almost certainly orchestrated, another piece in Dumbledore's integration plan. I'm Ron Weasley, he introduced himself after sitting down. Harry Potter, Harry confirmed, observing Ron's practiced look of surprise. So it's true then? Do you really have the, you know? Ron pointed at Harry's forehead. Harry lifted his fringe to reveal the lightning scar, using the moment to study Ron's reaction, genuine curiosity mixed with something that looked remarkably like satisfaction, as if confirming Harry matched a predetermined description. Their conversation proceeded predictably, Ron expressing amazement about Harry's fame, Harry downplaying it appropriately, discussion of their families. Harry carefully navigated the discussion of the Dursleys, revealing enough neglect to position himself as someone craving proper family connection without appearing permanently damaged by the experience. I think I'd die if I had 3 brothers, Harry commented strategically, creating an opening to learn more about Weasley family dynamics. Ron's response proved informative, his complaints about hand-me-downs and being overshadowed revealing deep-seated insecurity and resentment. Harry filed this away as both a vulnerability and potential manipulation point while outwardly expressing appropriate sympathy. Their conversation was interrupted by the compartment door sliding open to reveal a round-faced boy Harry immediately identified as Neville Longbottom, son of Frank and Alice Longbottom, tortured to insanity by Bellatrix Lestrange, raised by his grandmother Augusta, and most significantly, the only other child potentially referenced in the prophecy according to Ragnarok's intelligence. Sorry, Neville said miserably, but have you seen a toad? I've lost him. Harry studied this potential key player carefully. Neville appeared timid and self-effacing, but the magical signature Harry discreetly sensed suggested significant suppressed potential, reminiscent of Harry's own pre-purging condition, though natural rather than potion-induced. I haven't seen him, Harry replied kindly, but I could help you look if you'd like. Ron looked annoyed at the interruption, but Harry had already calculated the strategic value of establishing early positive contact with Longbottom. Before either could respond, the compartment door opened again to reveal Hermione, already dressed in her Hogwarts robes. "Has anyone seen a toad?" "Neville's lost one," she said in the bossy tone Harry recognized as her social anxiety response. "I was just offering to help look," Harry said, standing. "Hermione. I saved you a seat, I didn't know if we'd find each other on the train." Hermione's expression brightened in recognition. "Harry. There you are. I've been looking up and down the train. You two know each other?" Ron asked, looking between them with poorly concealed displeasure. "We're friends from primary school," Harry explained smoothly. "Hermione, this is Ron Weasley." "Ron, Hermione Granger." The introduction established Harry's position as social connector, a subtle assertion of leadership that placed him at the center of the forming group dynamic. He then turned to Neville. "And you're Neville Longbottom, right?" "I'm Harry Potter. Let's find your toad." Neville's eyes widened at Harry's name, but his missing pet took precedence over celebrity awe. Harry used the toad search as an opportunity to begin mapping the train's occupants, noting which compartments housed which students, particularly those from politically significant families. While Hermione and Neville checked compartments on one side, Harry took the other, strategically pausing at a compartment containing Draco Malfoy and his associates Crabbe and Goyle. "Has anyone seen a toad?" "A boy named Neville's lost one," Harry asked politely, using the situation to initiate contact on neutral grounds. Malfoy looked up, his expression shifting from annoyance to calculation as he recognized Harry. "Potter, isn't it? We met at Madame Malkin's." Harry nodded, maintaining pleasant neutrality. "That's right. Malfoy, correct?" "Draco Malfoy," he confirmed, straightening importantly. "This is Crabbe and Goyle." He gestured to his large companions without bothering with first names, revealing their status as followers rather than equals. "No toads here, obviously," Malfoy continued with a slight sneer. "I'd have thought you'd be more selective about your companions, Potter. Longbottom's practically a squib, from what I've heard." Harry noted the attempted dominance play, testing whether Harry would defend Neville or acquiesce to Malfoy's judgment. A critical early interaction that would set the tone for their future dynamic. "I find it's best to form my own opinions about people," Harry replied evenly. "First impressions can be misleading." The statement carried multiple layers, a mild rebuke of Malfoy's prejudgment, a hint that Harry himself might be more than he appeared, and an open door for future reassessment of their relationship. Malfoy studied him with narrowed eyes, recalibrating his approach. "True enough. You'll soon find that some wizarding families are better than others, Potter. I can help you there." The echo of their canonical first meeting demonstrated Malfoy's consistent agenda, establishing himself as Harry's guide to wizarding hierarchy. Rather than rejecting this outright, Harry opted for strategic ambiguity. "I appreciate the offer," he said with a slight smile. "I'm still learning about wizarding society. Maybe we can talk more at school." This noncommittal response denied Malfoy the clear acceptance or rejection he sought, maintaining Harry's independence while avoiding unnecessary antagonism. Malfoy seemed momentarily wrong-footed by this balanced response before nodding with attempted casualness. "My compartment door is always open, Potter." Harry rejoined Hermione and Neville, continuing their search until a prefect finally located Trevor in the train's bathroom. They returned to Harry's compartment where Ron waited, looking slightly put out by their extended absence. The remaining journey provided valuable intelligence gathering as Harry carefully guided conversations to extract maximum information with minimal self-revelation. Hermione discussed the spells she'd already practiced, Neville reluctantly shared his family's fears he might be non-magical until his accidental magic manifested, and Ron explained wizarding customs and families from his perspective. Harry particularly noted Ron's dismissive comments about Hufflepuff, a load of duffers, and Slytherin, there's not a witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin, recognizing the same prejudices Hagrid had expressed, likely common within Dumbledore's circle. When the topic of Gringotts' recent break-in arose from Ron's newspaper, Harry expressed appropriate curiosity while concealing his immediate strategic assessment. The timing aligned perfectly with Hagrid's removal of the mysterious package from Vault 713. The most significant test of Harry's preparation came when Malfoy visited their compartment flanked by Crabbe and Goyle. The confrontation proceeded predictably, Malfoy's attempted dominance display, Ron's immediate hostile response, and Malfoy's counter-targeting of Ron's poverty and family status. Harry intervened before wands could be drawn, positioning himself physically between the groups while maintaining a calm, centered presence. "This isn't the time or place for this," he said firmly. "We haven't even reached school yet." Both Malfoy and Ron seemed startled by Harry's measured response, neither the immediate rejection of Slytherin values Ron clearly expected nor the easy manipulation Malfoy had hoped for. Instead, Harry projected quiet authority that diffused the situation without committing to either side of the emerging house rivalry. After Malfoy and his companions departed, Ron immediately tried to reinforce the expected Gryffindor-Slytherin narrative. "My brothers told me all about Malfoy's family. They were some of the first to come back to our side after you-know-who disappeared, claimed they'd been bewitched. My dad doesn't believe it, says Malfoy's father didn't need an excuse to go over to the dark side." Harry nodded thoughtfully, neither endorsing nor challenging this assessment. "It seems like the house rivalries run deep. Especially Gryffindor and Slytherin," Hermione interjected, showcasing her research. "According to Hogwarts, a history, it dates back to a fundamental disagreement between Godric Gryffindor and Salazar Slytherin over admissions policies. My Gran says the Sorting Hat considers your choices too, not just your traits," Neville contributed unexpectedly. "That's what she told me when I was worried about where I'd end up." This significant insight supported Harry's research on the sorting process, suggesting an element of self-determination that could be strategically leveraged. Another piece confirming his planned approach. As they changed into their school robes, Harry performed final mental preparations for the pivotal moments ahead. The sorting would establish his public positioning within Hogwarts' social and political structure, potentially confirming or disrupting Dumbledore's plans for him. The train slowed to a stop at Hogsmeade Station, and Harry centered himself with a deep breath. For years of preparation were about to face their first major test. The pieces were positioned, the stage set. It was time to begin the game in earnest. Hagrid's familiar booming voice directed the first years to small boats on the lake's edge. Harry strategically arranged to share a boat with Hermione, Neville, and a quiet, observant girl he identified from intelligence briefings as Susan Bones, niece of Amelia Bones, head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. A potentially valuable political connection given Harry's long-term concerns about the justice system that had imprisoned his godfather. As Hogwarts Castle came into view, Harry allowed genuine awe to surface. Despite years of preparation and research, the ancient magical fortress exceeded expectations, towers and turrets silhouetted against the starry sky, windows blazing with golden light, the entire structure radiating magical power that Harry could sense with his trained perception. His fellow first-years gasped and murmured around him, equally impressed. Harry studied their reactions, noting which students seemed familiar with the castle already and which shared his first-time wonder. McGonagall greeted them in the entrance hall, explaining the sorting process and house system before leaving them briefly to prepare. The enforced wait provided another observation opportunity as house-related discussions broke out among the first years. Harry noted with interest how quickly alliances formed, Malfoy at the center of a pure-blood group including Crabbe, Goyle, Parkinson, and Nott, Hannah Abbott and Susan Bones whispering together, Ron gravitating toward Seamus Finnegan and Dean Thomas. The social sorting began before the magical one. The ghost's dramatic entrance through the wall provided another assessment point. Harry observed which students reacted with fear, wonder, or recognition based on prior knowledge. He also noted nearly headless Nick's particular interest in him, confirming suspicions that Hogwarts' supernatural residents had been briefed about his arrival. When McGonagall returned to lead them into the Great Hall, Harry positioned himself in the middle of the group, visible enough to avoid appearing deliberately hidden, but not prominently at the front. The strategic placement allowed him to scan the staff table as they entered, making eye contact with key figures while appearing simply curious. Dumbledore sat at the center, his magical signature blazing like a contained sun to Harry's trained senses. The headmaster's eyes twinkled with apparent benevolence as they swept over the first years, lingering momentarily on Harry before moving on, a calculated demonstration of casual interest rather than special attention. Harry identified the other staff members from his briefings: Flitwick, the diminutive charms professor; Sprout, the earthy herbology instructor; Sinistra at astronomy; Quirrell with his ridiculous turban; and most significantly, Severus Snape, whose dark gaze fixed on Harry with undisguised hostility. The potions master's reaction surprised Harry with its intensity. Intelligence briefings had indicated Snape's conflicted history with Harry's parents, friendship with Lily, bitter rivalry with James, but the raw emotion in the man's expression suggested deeper complexities worth exploring. Most students focused on the Sorting Hat's song about house characteristics, but Harry used the distraction to continue mapping the Great Hall, noting house table dynamics, prefect positions, and the general atmosphere of anticipation. He also maintained awareness of Hermione beside him, observing her growing anxiety about the sorting process. "It'll be fine," he reassured her quietly. "The hat considers what we value, not just what we're good at." Her grateful smile confirmed the successful maintenance of their alliance through this transition point. Harry then turned his attention to the sorting itself, analyzing each student's placement for patterns and insights. Hannah Abbott and Susan Bones to Hufflepuff, maintaining their pre-existing friendship. Terry Boot and Mandy Brocklehurst to Ravenclaw, both having displayed intellectual tendencies during the wait. Lavender Brown to Gryffindor, interesting given her rather appearance-focused conversation topics earlier. Millicent Bulstrode to Slytherin, expected given family history. Justin Finch Fletchley to Hufflepuff, a Muggle-born allocated away from traditionally pure-blood houses. Seamus Finnegan to Gryffindor, reinforcing the house's reputation for accepting the outspoken and bold. When Hermione's turn came, Harry watched carefully as the hat deliberated for nearly a minute before declaring, Gryffindor. Ron groaned quietly beside him, confirming Harry's assessment of their potential friction. Neville's sorting proved even more prolonged, the hat deliberating extensively before finally placing him in Gryffindor, surprising many observers who had clearly expected Hufflepuff. Harry noted this with interest, further evidence of Neville's hidden depths. Malfoy's immediate placement in Slytherin surprised no one, but Harry catalogued the smug satisfaction on the boy's face. Validation of family tradition clearly mattered deeply to him, a potential leverage point for future interactions. As Potter, Harry echoed through the Great Hall, Harry stepped forward amid erupting whispers and pointing. The entire school seemed to lean forward collectively, attention absolute. Harry maintained his carefully calibrated expression, slightly nervous but determined, approachable but not weak. The hat dropped over his eyes, and Harry immediately sensed its probing magic. His occlumency shields activated automatically, not blocking the hat entirely but creating structured pathways that guided its assessment while protecting his deepest secrets. Interesting, the hat's voice whispered in his mind. Very interesting. Occlumency shields at your age. And quite sophisticated ones too. You're far from the average first year, Mr. Potter. I'd appreciate your discretion regarding my abilities, Harry thought clearly, establishing communication while asserting boundaries. Your secrets are safe, I'm bound by charter not to reveal what I see in students' minds, the hat assured him. Now, where to put you? You've certainly got the mind for Ravenclaw, sharp, analytical, knowledge-seeking. Plenty of courage for Gryffindor. Loyalty enough for Hufflepuff, though selectively applied. And ambition, oh yes, ambition and cunning worthy of Slytherin. Harry remained silent, allowing the hat to deliberate while maintaining his occlumency pathways. You've prepared for this moment, haven't you? The hat observed. You have contingencies for each house already planned. Most unusual. Most students hope for one house and fear another. I see advantages in each, Harry responded mentally. Indeed. And yet you have preferences, desires beyond strategic positioning. The hat probed deeper, encountering the structured narrative Harry had prepared. I see, you value courage but not recklessness, knowledge but not isolation, loyalty but not blind faith, ambition but not at all costs. The hat seemed to chuckle in his mind. You've made this quite the puzzle, Mr. Potter. Usually I can simply read a student's nature and desires, but you've compartmentalized yourself extensively. Does that make your decision harder? Harry inquired. Not harder, more interesting, the hat corrected. In the end, despite your complexity, I see your core quite clearly. Better be Gryffindor. The last word rang out across the great hall, triggering thunderous applause from the red and gold table. Harry removed the hat calmly, noting Dumbledore's satisfied expression and McGonagall's approving nod as he moved toward the Gryffindor table. The Weasley twins created a spectacle with their "We got Potter" chant, drawing attention that Harry leveraged to scan reactions across the hall, Snape's deepened scowl, Quirrell's assessing gaze, Malfoy's disappointed sneer. Harry took a seat beside Neville and across from Hermione, positioning himself with clear sightlines to both the staff table and the other houses. Perfect for ongoing observation while appearing to simply join his housemates naturally. The remaining sortings proceeded predictably, Ron to Gryffindor as expected, Blaise Zabini to Slytherin completing the process. Dumbledore rose for his deliberately eccentric welcome, nitwit. Blubber. Oddment. Tweak, which Harry analyzed as a carefully crafted persona designed to appear harmlessly eccentric while concealing the calculating politician beneath. As food appeared on the tables, conversation flowed around Harry. He participated selectively, maintaining his approachable persona while gathering information about his housemates. The Gryffindor ghost, nearly headless Nick, made a point of welcoming him specifically, another indication of Harry's anticipated importance within the house. I know who you are. Seamus Finnegan declared across the table. You're Harry Potter. Harry nodded with a slight smile. That's me. My mum told me all about you, Seamus continued eagerly. Said you're the greatest wizard of our generation. That you'll probably be Minister for Magic someday. Harry blinked, genuinely surprised by this particular expectation. I'm just here to learn like everyone else, he deflected modestly. I don't know much about magic yet, I was raised by muggles. This strategic self-deprecation accomplished multiple objectives, establishing relatable humility, lowering expectations for his early magical performances, and creating space for growth that would actually reveal his carefully concealed abilities. My Gran says you'll change everything, Neville said quietly beside him, surprising Harry with this unexpected family perspective. Says the old families have been waiting for you to return. Before Harry could explore this intriguing comment, Percy Weasley launched into a prefect's welcome speech about Gryffindor traditions and expectations. Harry noted the older Weasley's pompous delivery but also his genuine pride in house achievements, useful intelligence about potential motivational levers. Harry's attention shifted to the staff table, where he observed a significant interaction, Quirrell and Snape in conversation, followed by Snape looking directly at Harry as a sharp pain lanced through his scar. This unexpected physical reaction demanded immediate investigation. Harry reinforced his occlumency shields while maintaining his outward composure, asking Percy casually about Snape. That's Professor Snape, head of Slytherin House, Percy explained importantly. Teaches potions, but everyone knows he wants Quirrell's job. Knows an awful lot about the dark arts, Snape does. Harry filed this confirmation away while analyzing the scar reaction. The pain differed from ordinary headaches, it carried magical resonance similar to what he'd experienced during the purging ritual years ago. Something about Snape, or possibly Quirrell, given their proximity during the incident, triggered the connection to Voldemort embedded in his scar. As the feast concluded, Dumbledore rose to deliver start-of-term notices. Harry paid particular attention to the forbidden third-floor corridor announcement, noting the headmaster's specific phrasing, "Die a very painful death," seemed deliberately dramatic, almost designed to provoke curiosity rather than genuine caution. Combined with Hagrid's mysterious package retrieval and the recent Gringotts break-in, this announcement solidified Harry's assessment. Dumbledore was orchestrating some kind of test or trap, likely with Harry as the intended participant. Percy led the first years through the castle to Gryffindor Tower, providing a running commentary on moving staircases, talking portraits, and school history. Harry memorized the route while simultaneously mapping alternative pathways for future reference, noting secret passage entrances mentioned in his family grimoire. The Fat Lady portrait swung open to reveal the Gryffindor common room, warm, circular, and filled with squashy armchairs exactly as described in Hogwarts, A History. Harry immediately assessed tactical considerations, entrances, exits, defensible positions, and observation points for social mapping. As Percy directed them to their dormitories, Harry maintained friendly connections with his new housemates, thanking Hermione for her help on the train, encouraging Neville about tomorrow's classes, and exchanging good-natured quips with Ron, Seamus, and Dean as they claimed beds in the first-year boys' dormitory. Once the others fell asleep, Harry activated privacy wards around his bed, subtle enough to avoid detection but sufficient to prevent casual observation. He then removed his custom wand from its disillusioned forearm holster, casting more sophisticated security measures around his bed and trunk. With his position secured, Harry retrieved his communication journal, recording the day's observations and strategic assessments for later reference. The sorting had proceeded optimally, Gryffindor placement fulfilled expected patterns while positioning him advantageously for his objectives. First connections established with key targets across multiple houses. Initial staff observations documented. Most pressing were two unexpected developments requiring immediate investigation, the painful Scar reaction during the feast, and Neville's comment about old families waiting. Both suggested underlying currents beyond Dumbledore's obvious manipulation attempts. Harry concluded his journal entry with updated action items, establish baseline academic performance, capable but not suspicious, develop alibi routines for private practice sessions, investigate third-floor corridor situation, discreetly monitor Quirrell/Snape dynamic and Scar reactions, explore Neville's knowledge of old families, expectations, maintain balance between Ron/Hermione friendship dynamics. After securing the journal in his trunk's hidden compartment, Harry performed his nightly occlumency exercises, organizing the day's new information into his mental architecture while reinforcing defensive shields. Tomorrow would bring the first classes, another opportunity to establish his public persona while gathering intelligence on the educational system designed to shape young wizards according to Dumbledore's vision. Harry fell asleep surrounded by the soft breathing of his dorm mates, his mind clear and focused despite the day's complexities. For years of preparation had positioned him perfectly for this moment, now the real work would begin. His last thought before sleep claimed him echoed the goblin mantra that had guided his development: patience before vengeance. Preparation before confrontation. The game was finally underway. Harry's first week at Hogwarts provided crucial insights into both the school's academic structure and its social dynamics. He navigated classes with strategic precision, calibrating his performance to appear talented but not suspiciously advanced, answering questions correctly but not exhaustively, performing spells successfully but after appropriate practice, and taking detailed notes while appearing to be learning everything for the first time. Charms with Professor Flitwick established his baseline, successful levitation on the third attempt rather than immediately, demonstrating appropriate learning progression. Transfiguration with McGonagall required more restraint, as Harry had privately mastered needle-to-match transformations years earlier. He deliberately produced a partially transformed matchstick on his first attempt, then gradually improved it over the lesson, earning McGonagall's approving nod without triggering suspicion. Herbology provided an unexpected opportunity to strengthen his alliance with Neville, whose genuine talent with plants emerged immediately. Harry expressed sincere appreciation for Neville's knowledge, establishing a mutually beneficial dynamic where Neville gained confidence through teaching while Harry gathered valuable botanical information relevant to potions and healing. "You're really good at this," Harry commented as Neville expertly repotted a bouncing bulb that had resisted everyone else's attempts. "How did you learn so much about magical plants?" Neville flushed with pleasure at the recognition. "My Gran's gardens. Been working in them since I was little. Plants make more sense than people sometimes." This simple exchange cemented their friendship while revealing Neville's emotional isolation, another parallel to Harry's experience, though from different causes. Harry filed this away as both a connection point and a potential vulnerability to protect. Defense against the dark arts proved most intriguing, primarily due to Professor Quirrell's behavior. The stuttering, seemingly timid professor maintained his nervous facade, but Harry detected inconsistencies, moments when sharp intelligence flashed behind the affected fear, calculations occurring behind the performance. Most tellingly, Harry's scar prickled uncomfortably throughout each lesson, suggesting a connection between Quirrell and the Voldemort fragment extracted years earlier. Harry's strategic approach to potions began before entering the dungeon classroom. Intelligence from older students and Mrs. Figg's insights into Snape's history with his parents allowed Harry to prepare countermeasures against the professor's anticipated hostility. When Snape began class with his dramatic, bottle fame, brew glory, stop or death speech, Harry maintained respectful attention without the wide-eyed wonder that might trigger Snape's contempt. When the professor abruptly targeted him with rapid-fire questions about Asphodel, Bezoars, and Wolfsbane, Harry recognized the psychological tactic, attempting to establish dominance through public humiliation. "I don't know about Asphodel, sir," Harry replied calmly to the first question. "Bezoars are stone-like masses from goat stomachs that counteract most poisons. I'm not sure about Wolfsbane and Monkshood." This calculated response demonstrated basic preparation without the comprehensive knowledge that might antagonize Snape further. The balanced approach yielded interesting results. Snape's expression flickered with something beyond simple dislike, a complexity worth exploring. "At least you bothered to open a book before arriving, unlike most of your housemates," Snape commented acidly. "Asphodel and Wormwood create the draft of living death. Wolfsbane and Monkshood are the same plant, also called aconite. Well, why aren't you all copying this down?" Throughout the double period, Harry maintained precise, careful work on their simple boil-curing potion, neither showing off nor making mistakes that might trigger Snape's ire. When Neville's cauldron melted beside him, Harry reacted quickly but not suspiciously, helping his friend while demonstrating appropriate first-year concern rather than experienced potion-maker's confidence. The strategy yielded optimal results. Snape ignored Harry's potion entirely, neither praising nor criticizing it, while focusing his vitriol on other Gryffindors. A neutral outcome representing successful diffusion of potential conflict. Beyond academics, Harry focused on establishing his social position within the complex Hogwarts ecosystem. While Ron clearly expected to become Harry's primary friend based on their train compartment sharing, Harry deliberately maintained connections across a broader spectrum, studying with Hermione in the library, practicing herbology with Neville, discussing Quidditch with the Weasley twins, and even exchanging civil nods with Slytherins like Blaise Zabini in shared classes. This balanced approach frustrated Ron's apparent expectations of exclusive friendship, creating minor tension that Harry carefully managed through strategic inclusion. When inviting Hermione to join their exploration of the castle grounds, for instance, Harry framed it as showing Ron's chess skills to someone who might appreciate the strategy, smoothing Ron's objections by appealing to his desire for recognition. The most significant development came Friday morning when Hedwig delivered Harry's first letter, a note from Hagrid inviting him for afternoon tea. While seemingly innocuous, Harry immediately recognized the timing's strategic implications. After a full week of classes, ideal for gathering Harry's initial impressions of Hogwarts while emotions remained fresh. "Anyone want to join me visiting Hagrid this afternoon?" Harry asked his breakfast companions, creating an opportunity to observe their reactions. Ron immediately accepted, likely seeing exclusive social time with Harry. Hermione expressed interest in meeting the gamekeeper mentioned in Hogwarts, a History. Neville hesitated until Harry specifically encouraged him, demonstrating his continuing confidence issues despite Gryffindor placement. The visit to Hagrid's hut proved informative beyond Harry's expectations. While maintaining his friendly, slightly naive persona, Harry guided conversation toward topics of strategic interest, professors, classes, and most significantly, the Gringotts break-in mentioned in the Daily Prophet clipping Hagrid displayed prominently. "Hagrid," Harry said casually, "this Gringotts break-in happened on my birthday, the day we were there. It might have happened while we were there." Hagrid's deliberate avoidance of eye contact confirmed Harry's suspicions about the mysterious package from Vault 713. The gamekeeper's transparent discomfort provided further evidence connecting the retrieval, the break-in, and Dumbledore's Forbidden Corridor announcement. When Ron mentioned his brother Charlie's work with dragons in Romania, Harry spotted another opportunity to gather intelligence on a different front. "I've been wondering," Harry said conversationally, "why is dragon breeding illegal in Britain? Seems like they'd be useful magical creatures to have around." "Too dangerous for muggles to spot," Hagrid explained enthusiastically, clearly passionate about the subject. "Hard to hide a dragon in your backyard. Back in the old days, before the statute of secrecy, wizard families would keep M as guardians. Gringotts still uses M for high-security vaults, you know. Dragons guard Gringotts vaults?" Harry asked with appropriate amazement, filing away this confirmation of goblin security measures. "Which vaults get that kind of protection?" "The oldest family vaults, mostly," Hagrid said, before catching himself. "Not that I should be talking about Gringotts security, mind ya. Top secret, that is." Harry steered the conversation toward Hagrid's gamekeeper duties, but Hermione, surprisingly, returned to the Forbidden Corridor topic. "Dumbledore's announcement was rather dramatic," she observed. "A painful death seems extreme for a school punishment. What could be so dangerous?" Hagrid's expression confirmed Harry's assessment. The gamekeeper knew exactly what was hidden there but had been instructed not to reveal it. His fumbling response about Hogwarts business and, between Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel, provided the most valuable clue yet. Harry recognized the name immediately from his magical history studies but feigned ignorance, allowing the conversation to move on while noting Hermione's thoughtful expression. She'd clearly registered the name as significant too, another demonstration of her research potential. As they walked back to the castle afterward, Harry solidified his emerging alliance structure through subtle positioning, complementing Neville's observation about Hagrid's unusual plants, acknowledging Ron's family connections through Charlie, and exchanging a meaningful glance with Hermione regarding the Flamel reference. The weekend provided opportunities for strategic preparation and intelligence gathering. Harry established a pattern of early morning explorations that created private time for advanced magical practice in abandoned classrooms secured with detection charms. Using his custom wand rather than his Ollivander wand eliminated Ministry trace concerns, allowing him to maintain and expand his capabilities beyond the first-year curriculum. Library research sessions with Hermione built their intellectual alliance while providing cover for Harry's investigation into Nicholas Flamel, confirming his association with alchemy and the Philosopher's Stone. This connection clarified Dumbledore's likely scheme. The stone represented both immortality and unlimited gold, making it the perfect bait for Voldemort if the Dark Wizard still existed in some form. Harry's strategic assessment was falling into place. Dumbledore had transferred the stone from Gringotts to Hogwarts, announced its presence through deliberate forbidding, and was likely monitoring Harry's response to this setup. The question remained whether Quirrell's suspicious behavior and connection to Harry's scar indicated Voldemort's actual involvement or merely Dumbledore's expectation of such. By Sunday evening, Harry had established his initial positioning at Hogwarts, academically solid but not suspiciously advanced, socially connected across multiple friendship groups rather than exclusively aligned with Ron as likely intended, and demonstrating appropriate curiosity about his surroundings without revealing his strategic analysis of Dumbledore's machinations. As he prepared for bed, reviewing the week's developments in his secured journal, Harry outlined his next objectives. Investigate Quirrell's background and current activities. Explore the third-floor corridor's security from a distance. Research Flamel and the stone's properties more thoroughly. Develop contingency plans for potential Voldemort encounter. Strengthen alliance with Neville while assessing his suppressed potential. Establish contact channels with Susan Bones regarding DMLE matters. Harry secured his journal and performed his nightly occlumency routine, organizing new information while reinforcing shields against potential intrusion. The first week had validated his years of preparation. He had successfully navigated Dumbledore's initial positioning attempts while establishing his own foothold within Hogwarts' complex ecosystem. The true challenge lay ahead, maintaining this delicate balance while pursuing his own objectives beneath the surface. But Harry Potter had faced greater challenges before, beginning with 25 loyalty potions at age 7. Patience before vengeance. Preparation before confrontation. The game continued. Flying lessons announced for Thursday created both opportunity and risk in Harry's strategic positioning. Intelligence from older students confirmed Madame Hooch's approach, basic broom handling rather than advanced techniques, with safety as the primary concern. For someone with Harry's secretly developed skills, the challenge would be demonstrating appropriate first-time flyer behavior while maintaining his reflexes if genuine danger arose. "Have any of you flown before?" Harry asked at breakfast, gathering baseline information from his classmates. Ron launched into tales of near misses with hang gliders while flying around his family's property, clearly embellishing for effect. Seamus described similarly wild adventures, while Dean admitted having no experience given his Muggle upbringing. Most interesting was Neville's response, nervous admission of never being allowed near a broom despite his magical heritage. "Gran says I'm too accident-prone," he explained miserably. "She's probably right. I'll make a fool of myself." Harry recognized the opportunity to strengthen their alliance through support. "Flying's supposed to be about instinct, not just knowledge," he offered encouragingly. "You might surprise yourself." Hermione's approach contrasted dramatically, attempting to compensate for inexperience through theoretical study, reading Quidditch Through the Ages, aloud at lunch and reciting flying tips that only increased Neville's anxiety. The Slytherin-Gryffindor combined lesson created predictable tension even before it began. Harry observed Malfoy's confident swagger as they assembled on the training grounds, clear indication of prior flying experience despite first years supposedly not being allowed brooms. Madame Hooch's yellow, hawk-like eyes surveyed them critically as she instructed them to stand beside the school brooms. Harry positioned himself between Neville and Hermione, offering subtle reassurance to both while maintaining awareness of Malfoy's group nearby. "Stick out your right hand over your broom and say, 'Up.'" Hooch instructed. Harry modulated his command carefully, confident enough for success but not displaying the absolute authority that years of wandless magic practice had developed. His broom jumped immediately to his hand, along with only a few others including Malfoy's and Ron's. Hermione's frustration mounted as her broom merely rolled over, while Neville's didn't move at all. Harry leaned closer to Neville, whispering, "It senses hesitation. Try thinking of it as a helpful tool, not something that might hurt you." Neville's second "up" produced slight movement, not success, but improvement. His grateful smile confirmed the strengthening alliance. Hooch proceeded to demonstrate proper mounting technique, moving through the rows making corrections. Harry deliberately held his broom at a slightly incorrect angle, allowing for adjustment while observing Malfoy's reaction to being told he'd been gripping wrong for years. The critical moment came when Hooch prepared them for initial hovering. Harry sensed Neville's mounting anxiety beside him, recognizing the danger signs of accidental magic interfering with broom control. As Hooch counted 1, 2, Harry subtly shifted position, ready to intervene. Neville's premature liftoff confirmed Harry's assessment, nervousness triggering uncontrolled ascent. Harry had milliseconds to decide between maintaining his cover as an inexperienced flyer or preventing potential serious injury. Strategic calculus flashed through his mind, Neville's friendship value, the low observability of subtle intervention during a crisis, the opportunity to demonstrate Gryffindor qualities without revealing true capabilities. Decision made. As Neville rose rapidly, Harry's hand shot out, grabbing the other boy's robe hem while appearing to stumble forward from the force of Neville's ascent. This created the impression that Harry was being dragged upward rather than intentionally following. "Let go, Harry!" Hermione screamed as both boys rose 12 feet above the ground. Instead, Harry pulled himself closer to Neville's broom, seemingly trying to help his friend while actually applying wandless magic to stabilize the broom's erratic movements. The maneuver appeared desperate and risky while being precisely controlled. Harry used his weight to direct their descent into a spiraling pattern that slowed their momentum before they hit the ground in a tangled heap. "Ow!" Harry groaned convincingly, though he had controlled their landing to avoid actual injury. Neville looked stunned but intact. "Potter. Longbottom." Madam Hooch rushed over, running diagnostic charms over both of them. "What were you thinking, grabbing onto him like that?" "Sorry, Professor," Harry said, looking appropriately chagrined. "I just reacted when I saw him going up. Thought I could pull him back down." Hooch's expression softened slightly. "Brave but foolish, Potter. You're both lucky you didn't break anything. 10 points from Gryffindor for disobeying instructions." She paused, then grudgingly added, "and 5 points to Gryffindor for looking out for your housemate, misguided as it was." This balanced consequence achieved Harry's objective, demonstrating house loyalty and courage without appearing suspiciously skilled or rule-abiding. The net loss of 5 points was negligible compared to the alliance strengthening with Neville, who looked at Harry with naked gratitude. "Thanks," Neville whispered as Hooch returned to the rest of the class. "You could have been seriously hurt trying to help me." "That's what friends do," Harry replied simply, cementing their bond. The incident might have ended there had Malfoy not spotted something glinting in the grass, Neville's Remembrall, a gift from his grandmother that morning. The Slytherin snatched it up with a malicious grin. "Look what the idiot dropped," he announced to his cronies. Maybe if he'd given this a squeeze, he'd have remembered to fall on his fat backside. The calculated cruelty aimed at the vulnerable Neville represented a critical decision point for Harry. Responding too aggressively would escalate house rivalries prematurely, while ignoring it would undermine his Gryffindor positioning and friendship with Neville. "Give it here, Malfoy," Harry said calmly, extending his hand. The measured tone carried authority without aggression, offering Malfoy a face-saving way to comply. Instead, Malfoy's smile turned nastier. "I think I'll leave it somewhere for Longbottom to find. How about up a tree?" Before Harry could respond, Malfoy mounted his broom and took off, demonstrating genuine skill as he hovered at treetop level. "Come and get it, Potter." Another decision point: pursuing Malfoy would reveal flying capabilities while breaking rules, potentially triggering disciplinary consequences. Allowing the theft would damage social standing within Gryffindor. Harry calculated rapidly, factoring in Hooch's absence, having taken another injured student to the hospital wing, and the witnessed provocation. "Harry, don't!" Hermione warned. "You heard Madam Hooch, you'll get expelled." Harry gave her an apologetic look before mounting his broom. The situation provided perfect cover for displaying natural talent, while maintaining his persona of making decisions based on friendship rather than cold strategy. He executed a flawless takeoff, allowing genuine skill to surface under the guise of beginner's luck and natural ability. Gasps and cheers rose from the watching Gryffindors as Harry leveled off facing Malfoy, whose stunned expression confirmed the success of Harry's controlled revelation. "Give it here," Harry called, "or I'll knock you off that broom." "Oh yeah?" Malfoy sneered, though looking less confident. Harry recognized the opportunity to demonstrate his flying skill within acceptable parameters. He leaned forward and shot toward Malfoy like an arrow, stopping precisely before collision, a maneuver appearing instinctive rather than practiced. Malfoy barely dodged, his expression shifting from mockery to alarm. "Catch it if you can, then," he shouted, throwing the Remembrall high into the air before streaking back toward the ground. Perfect. The falling glass ball created ideal conditions for displaying reflexes and coordination while maintaining plausible deniability about prior experience. Harry tracked the Remembrall's arc, calculating trajectory and interception point instantly. He dove steeply, appearing reckless while maintaining complete control, accelerating toward the ground in pursuit of the falling orb. Wind whistled past as he stretched out his hand, catching the Remembrall a foot from the grass before pulling up into a gentle curve that bled off momentum without the jarring stop that would indicate experienced technique. Landing smoothly, Harry raised the Remembrall triumphantly as Gryffindors rushed toward him cheering. The strategic display had accomplished multiple objectives, demonstrating loyalty to Neville, establishing athletic credibility, and positioning himself against Malfoy's bullying without appearing calculatingly political. "Harry Potter." Professor McGonagall's voice cut through the celebration. Harry allowed appropriate alarm to show on his face while inwardly assessing this development. Her timing seemed suspiciously perfect, arriving precisely after his display but before any further escalation. Another piece of Dumbledore's positioning strategy, perhaps? Never, in all my time at Hogwarts, McGonagall appeared speechless with shock, though Harry detected undertones of something else in her expression. How dare you, might have broken your neck, it wasn't his fault, Professor, be quiet, Miss Patil, but Malfoy, that's enough, Mr. Weasley. The procedural theatre continued as McGonagall ordered Harry to follow her. He maintained an appropriately concerned expression while noting McGonagall made no attempt to hear Malfoy's involvement or investigate the full situation, uncharacteristic for her usual fair-minded approach, suggesting alternative motives. As they entered the castle, Harry prepared for potential disciplinary consequences while calculating whether this incident might connect to broader manipulation attempts. McGonagall led him not toward her office or Dumbledore's, but to a classroom where she requested Wood from Professor Flitwick. Oliver Wood's appearance, a burly fifth-year boy looking confused, clarified the situation immediately. This wasn't punishment but recruitment. McGonagall's dramatic announcement confirmed it. Potter, this is Oliver Wood. Wood, I've found you a seeker. The conversation that followed revealed another layer of Dumbledore's apparent strategy, exceptionalism disguised as meritocracy. First years weren't allowed brooms or Quidditch positions, but exceptions could be made for Harry Potter's natural talent, that McGonagall described as superior to Charlie Weasley's. Your father would have been proud, McGonagall added with uncharacteristic sentimentality. He was an excellent Quidditch player himself. The emotional leverage was obvious but effective nonetheless. Harry accepted the seeker position with appropriate enthusiasm while noting how perfectly this development aligned with creating special attachment to Gryffindor, to Hogwarts, and by extension, to Dumbledore's sphere of influence. News of Harry's seeker position spread rapidly despite Wood's attempt at secrecy, creating ripple effects through Hogwarts' social structure. Within Gryffindor, Harry's status elevated from famous new kid to legitimate house asset. The Weasley twins, team beaters, immediately incorporated him into their social circle, providing access to their extensive knowledge of Hogwarts' secret passages and staff vulnerabilities. Youngest seeker in a century, Fred, or possibly George, declared at dinner. We're going to win the Quidditch Cup for sure this year. Ron's attitude shifted noticeably, pride in Harry's accomplishment mixed with visible envy of the special treatment. Hermione seemed torn between disapproval of rule-breaking and admiration for Harry's apparent natural talent. Neville, however, displayed pure appreciation, repeatedly thanking Harry for standing up for him. The development also affected interhouse dynamics, with Malfoy's challenge to a Midnight Wizard's duel representing a predictable response to perceived humiliation. Harry recognized the transparent attempt to lure him into rule-breaking that could negate his Quidditch appointment. I'll be your second, Ron volunteered immediately, eager to participate in the confrontation. Harry considered the situation carefully. Refusing would appear cowardly by Gryffindor standards but accepting played directly into Malfoy's trap. A third approach was needed. Thanks, Ron, Harry said, then raised his voice slightly to carry to the Slytherin table. But I don't think sneaking around at midnight is necessary. If Malfoy wants to practice formal dueling, we could ask Professor Flitwick to supervise. He was a dueling champion, after all. The strategic counter caught Malfoy off guard, unable to refuse without appearing cowardly himself, yet clearly unwilling to face legitimate supervised competition. The Slytherin flushed with anger before stalking away, trap defused. That was brilliant, Neville whispered admiringly. You called his bluff. Ron looked disappointed at the lost adventure but couldn't argue with the effectiveness of Harry's approach. The incident further solidified Harry's emerging reputation as someone who stood up to challenges intelligently rather than recklessly. After dinner, an unexpected delivery arrived, a large, unwieldy package clearly containing a broomstick, accompanied by a note in McGonagall's handwriting instructing Harry not to open it at the table. The timing and public delivery seemed calculated for maximum visibility while maintaining technical adherence to the secrecy Wood had requested. Harry brought the package to the common room where its unwrapping drew a crowd. The Nimbus 2000, top-of-the-line racing broom far beyond standard school equipment, represented another layer of special treatment that simultaneously privileged Harry while binding him more tightly to Gryffindor's Quidditch aspirations. A Nimbus 2000. Ron moaned enviously. I've never even touched one. Harry studied the broom thoughtfully, recognizing both its quality and its strategic implications. I wonder how they're paying for this, he mused aloud. Do you think Hogwarts keeps racing brooms for exceptional cases? Unlikely, said George Weasley, joining the admirers. McGonagall must have special funding or pulled strings with a sponsor. This raised interesting questions about resource allocation and preferential treatment that Harry filed away for future investigation. The broom itself represented both opportunity and potential complication. Its quality would facilitate his Quidditch performance while its mysterious funding created possible obligation. Wood began Harry's seeker training the following evening, impressed by Harry's apparent natural aptitude while unaware of the years of wandless magical control exercises that had developed Harry's spatial awareness and reflexes. You're a natural, Potter, Wood declared after Harry caught every golf ball the captain threw, regardless of direction or speed. Charlie Weasley couldn't have done better. Harry maintained his persona of talented beginner, asking appropriate questions about game rules and team strategy while carefully avoiding revealing his more advanced understanding of Quidditch dynamics gained through extensive reading. As September transformed into October, Harry balanced multiple concurrent objectives, maintaining his academic position as talented but not suspicious, developing his Quidditch skills within expected parameters, strengthening key alliances, and most importantly, investigating the third-floor corridor situation. The latter proved most challenging due to constant surveillance. Harry noted Filch and Mrs. Norris patrolling the forbidden corridor with unusual frequency, while professors, coincidentally, appeared whenever Harry ventured near that wing of the castle. The monitoring seemed specifically targeted rather than general security. Harry adapted by developing a systematic approach to intelligence gathering. Rather than attempting direct access, he collected information through multiple channels: castle ghosts who spoke freely about the headmaster's special project, older students who had attempted exploration out of curiosity, and most valuably, tracking faculty movements to identify who accessed the corridor regularly. Hermione unknowingly assisted this effort through her relentless research into Nicholas Flamel, motivated by intellectual curiosity after Hagrid's slip. Her systematic approach to library research complemented Harry's more targeted intelligence gathering, creating a comprehensive picture of the Philosopher's Stone's properties and significance. By Halloween, Harry had mapped the third-floor corridor's external security and confirmed his hypothesis: Dumbledore had indeed brought the Philosopher's Stone to Hogwarts, protecting it with multiple obstacles created by different professors. The arrangement seemed designed as much to test potential seekers as to truly secure the stone. The question remained whether this elaborate setup targeted Harry specifically or served some broader purpose in Dumbledore's strategy. The answer began to emerge during the Halloween feast when Professor Quirrell burst into the Great Hall announcing a troll in the dungeons. The ensuing chaos provided Harry's first opportunity to observe Dumbledore's crisis management, instructions to prefects that sent Slytherins toward the danger zone, Quirrell's convenient fainting, and teachers mobilizing with suspicious efficiency suggested foreknowledge or orchestration. Most significantly, Harry remembered Hermione's absence from the feast following Ron's thoughtless comments about her having no friends. The isolation of a vulnerable first year during a security crisis represented both danger and opportunity, danger to Hermione personally, but opportunity for Harry to demonstrate heroic qualities within acceptable parameters. Hermione doesn't know about the troll, Harry told Ron as they followed Percy toward Gryffindor Tower. She's been in the girls' bathroom crying all afternoon. Ron's guilty expression confirmed the effectiveness of this approach, appealing to his better nature rather than directly accusing him of causing the situation. "Oh, all right," he muttered. "But Percy better not see us." They slipped away from the Gryffindor line, using Harry's knowledge of alternate routes to approach the girls' bathroom. The foul stench that greeted them confirmed the troll had deviated from the dungeons, another indication of orchestrated rather than random events. Harry assessed the 12-foot mountain troll with strategic clarity: magically resistant skin, limited intelligence, significant physical danger to first years with basic spell knowledge. This represented a genuine threat to Hermione but also a perfectly calibrated challenge, dangerous enough to require courage but potentially defeatable by first years with the right approach. When they spotted Hermione frozen against the wall as the troll advanced, Harry made an instant decision. This situation demanded competent action regardless of his cover. He coordinated with Ron through simple, direct instructions. Distracted, he ordered. "I'll get to Hermione." As Ron threw debris to draw the troll's attention, Harry moved with controlled efficiency, not the panicked scramble expected of an untrained first year, but not revealing his full combat training either. He reached Hermione, attempting to pull her toward the door. "Run," he urged, but she remained paralyzed with fear. The situation escalated when the troll noticed them, raising its club for a potentially fatal blow. Harry's training took over. He performed a controlled leap onto the troll's back, an action that appeared desperate and instinctive rather than the practiced combat technique it actually was. His wand inadvertently, but strategically, lodged in the troll's nostril during the maneuver, creating apparent helplessness that necessitated Ron's intervention. When Harry called for Ron to use the levitation charm they'd learned that day, he established perfect conditions for shared heroism, Ron performing the spell that ultimately knocked out the troll while Harry provided the strategic guidance. The teacher's arrival immediately afterward, McGonagall, Snape, and Quirrell in that order, allowed Harry to observe their varied reactions. McGonagall's shock appeared genuine, while Snape's calculating assessment of the scene suggested deeper analysis. Most interesting was Quirrell's behavior, his theatrical whimpering contradicted by sharp, assessing eyes when he thought no one was looking. Harry also noted the significant detail of Snape's torn robes and bleeding leg, evidence of recent activity beyond troll hunting, potentially connected to the third-floor corridor. Most valuable was Hermione's unexpected intervention, taking blame for the situation by claiming she had sought the troll deliberately while Harry and Ron searched for her. This self-sacrificing lie indicated a significant shift in Hermione's relationship with authority, prioritizing loyalty to peers over strict rule adherence. 5 points from Gryffindor, McGonagall told Hermione before turning to Harry and Ron. And 5 points each to Gryffindor for sheer dumb luck. The balanced consequence reinforced Harry's assessment. The entire troll situation seemed calibrated to test responses and forge specific relationships rather than representing random danger. The fact that 3 first-years had managed to defeat a mountain troll with a first-year charm was too convenient to be coincidental. As they walked back to Gryffindor Tower, Hermione's quiet, "thank you," signaled the formation of their trio, the friendship configuration that aligned with Dumbledore's apparent expectations while simultaneously serving Harry's strategic objectives. Ron's heroism with the levitation charm boosted his confidence, Hermione's rule-breaking expanded her rigid worldview, and Harry's leadership positioned him naturally at the center. That night, secure behind privacy wards in his bed, Harry updated his strategic assessment. The Halloween incident connected multiple threads: Quirrell's suspicious behavior, Snape's apparent monitoring of the third-floor corridor, and Dumbledore's orchestration of relationship dynamics among first-years. Most importantly, it confirmed Harry's hypothesis about the Philosopher's Stone. Its presence at Hogwarts represented bait in an elaborate trap, likely targeting Voldemort if Quirrell's connection to Harry's scar indicated possession or alliance. The question remained whether Harry should play along with the evident scheme, following the breadcrumbs toward an inevitable confrontation, or maintain his independent agenda focused on long-term positioning rather than Dumbledore's immediate objectives. As November arrived with plunging temperatures and the start of Quidditch season, Harry continued balancing these competing priorities while adding new complexity, preparation for his first public Quidditch match against Slytherin. Would increased training sessions to 3 evenings weekly, battling deteriorating weather conditions as Harry perfected his seeker techniques. The team's expectations created additional pressure beyond the normal first-year experience, particularly after word spread that Harry would be the youngest seeker in a century. "Don't worry, Harry," George Weasley assured him before their final practice. "The Slytherin seekers got a faster broom but half your talent." Harry maintained his persona of nervous but determined first-time player, concealing his strategic analysis of Slytherin's likely tactics based on intelligence gathered from older students and observation of their practice sessions. The morning of the match brought unexpected support, a "good luck" banner created by Dean Thomas featuring a lion that actually roared thanks to Hermione's animation charm. The genuine encouragement from his housemates affected Harry more deeply than anticipated, reinforcing his commitment to Gryffindor's success despite his awareness of the larger manipulation attempt. In the locker room, Wood's pre-game speech reflected intense pressure, win or die trying, that Harry recognized as unhealthy but strategically useful for team motivation. He maintained calm focus during equipment checks, warming exercises, and the walk onto the field amid thunderous cheers from the packed stands. Madame Hooch's pre-game instructions emphasized fair play while acknowledging the notorious Gryffindor-Slytherin rivalry. Harry observed the Slytherin captain Marcus Flint's intimidation attempt during the handshake with Wood, noting the psychological tactics he would likely employ during the match. When the whistle blew, Harry executed his assigned strategy, rising above the main action to search for the snitch while avoiding bludger attacks and interference. The commentary by Lee Jordan provided useful tracking of the broader game state while Harry maintained situational awareness through peripheral vision and sound cues. The first critical moment came when Harry spotted the snitch near the Slytherin goalposts. His dive toward it demonstrated genuine seeking skill while remaining within first-year parameters, not revealing the full extent of his broom control capabilities developed through years of wandless magic practice. Flint's deliberate blocking foul, flying directly into Harry's path, provided valuable information about Slytherin's desperation and willingness to risk penalties. Harry used the free shot awarded to Gryffindor to resume his elevated observation position, cataloging Slytherin tactics for future reference. The most significant development occurred 15 minutes into the game when Harry's broom suddenly lurched violently, a clear magical interference attempt rather than equipment malfunction. His custom wandless magic training activated instantly, stabilizing his core while his body appeared to struggle for control. Harry used the disruption to scan the stands while pretending to fight his bucking broom. He quickly identified two magical signatures targeting him, Quirrell muttering steadily without breaking eye contact, and more surprisingly, Snape doing the same. The contradictory signature suggested one was casting the curse while the other performed the counter-curse. Given Quirrell's suspicious behavior and connection to Harry's scar, the logical conclusion identified him as the attacker with Snape as the unexpected defender. This revelation demanded recalibration of Harry's assessment of the potion's master's role in Dumbledore's strategy. Harry maintained his cover by continuing to appear helpless while subtly reinforcing his wandless grip on the broom. He observed Hermione's movement through the stands toward the teacher's section, recognizing her intervention without needing to control it directly. When blue flames erupted from Snape's robes, Hermione's signature bluebell flames, the distraction broke both professors' concentration. Harry immediately regained control of his broom, executing a dramatic recovery that appeared lucky rather than skillfully managed. The incident created optimal conditions for a legitimate display of seeking prowess. When Harry spotted the snitch moments later, his dive carried genuine competitive intensity, the combined result of actual desire to win, strategic need to cement his Gryffindor position, and awareness of being tested by multiple observers. The catch itself, standing on his broom before toppling forward, catching the snitch in his mouth rather than his hand, represented perfect cover for advanced skill disguised as beginner's luck combined with natural talent. The unconventional technique appeared accidental while showcasing reflexes and balance that validated McGonagall's recruiting decision. Gryffindor's celebration of their 170-60 victory cemented Harry's position within house social structures while elevating his status throughout the school. The public success created ideal conditions for Harry's continued intelligence gathering and alliance building, as students from all houses now had reason to interact with Gryffindor's Star Seeker beyond his boy-who-lived fame. The post-game debriefing with Ron and Hermione in Hagrid's hut provided another intelligence opportunity as Harry carefully raised the topic of Snape's apparent jinxing of his broom. "Rubbish," Hagrid declared loyally. "Why would Snape do something like that?" Harry strategically shared his observation of Snape's injured leg after the troll incident, creating a narrative thread connecting Snape to the third-floor corridor without directly mentioning the Philosopher's Stone. Hagrid's reaction, dropping the teapot in shock, confirmed the connection while his subsequent defense of Snape revealed another layer of complexity. "I'm tellin' ya, you're wrong," Hagrid insisted hotly. "Snape wouldn't try ter kill a student. Now, listen to me, all three of ya, you're meddlin' in things that don't concern ya. It's dangerous. You forget that dog, and you forget what it's guardin', that's between Professor Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel, aha!" Harry exclaimed with calculated enthusiasm. "So there's someone called Nicholas Flamel involved, is there?" Hagrid's furious self-recrimination confirmed the importance of this connection while providing Ron and Hermione with motivation to continue their research, exactly as Harry desired without revealing his existing knowledge of Flamel and the stone. As November turned to December and Hogwarts transformed under Christmas decorations, Harry maintained his balanced approach, excelling in classes within acceptable parameters, strengthening key alliances, and gathering intelligence on the third-floor corridor situation. The discovery that Ron would remain at Hogwarts over Christmas while his parents visited Charlie in Romania created ideal conditions for continued investigation without Hermione's more rule-conscious influence. When McGonagall collected names of students staying for the holidays, Harry signed up without hesitation. The opportunity to explore a less crowded Hogwarts outweighed any sentimental value of returning to Privet Drive. The morning before most students departed for holidays, Harry executed his next strategic move, consulting with Fred and George Weasley about castle exploration. Their reputation as pranksters with extensive knowledge of Hogwarts' secret passages made them ideal sources while providing cover for Harry's interest in restricted areas. "We might have a little something that could help," Fred said with a conspiratorial wink after Harry expressed interest in learning more about the castle during the quiet holiday period. That evening, the twins presented Harry with a worn piece of parchment, demonstrating its activation phrase, "I solemnly swear that I am up to no good," to reveal the Marauder's map, a complete magical blueprint of Hogwarts showing every corridor, classroom, and most significantly, the location and movement of every person within the castle. "We nicked it from Filch's office our first year," George explained proudly. "Best thing we ever found. Shows everyone where they are, what they're doing, every minute of every day." Harry examined the map with appropriate amazement while inwardly calculating its strategic value, real-time intelligence on staff movements, confirmation of identities regardless of disguise, and validation of his third-floor corridor observations. Most startling was the map's creators, Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs, names he recognized from his parents' journals as their school nicknames. "This is incredible," Harry said sincerely. "But why give it to me? Don't you need it?" Fred and George exchanged meaningful looks. "We've memorized the passages by now," Fred explained. "And you seem like someone who could use it properly," George added with unexpected seriousness. "Someone who knows when rule-breaking serves a higher purpose." The twins' perception proved more nuanced than Harry had credited them with. They had apparently recognized something of his strategic nature beneath the first-year persona. This represented both risk and opportunity for his ongoing positioning. "Besides," Fred concluded with a grin, "we reckon the son of Prongs should have it." This revelation stunned Harry genuinely. "What? My father was, your dad was one of the Marauders," George confirmed. "We figured it out from things Hagrid's let slip about your dad's time at school. Quite the troublemaker, your father was." The personal connection to his father transformed Harry's appreciation for the artifact. While its strategic value remained paramount, the emotional resonance of holding something his father had helped create affected him deeply. Harry thanked the twins sincerely, promising to use the map responsibly while recognizing its value extended far beyond mere mischief-making. That night, he studied the map extensively, noting staff patrol patterns, hidden passages, and most critically, a previously unknown route to the third-floor corridor that avoided Filch's regular surveillance. The Christmas holiday provided ideal conditions for investigation as the nearly empty castle reduced observation risks. Harry used the map to track remaining staff movements, confirming several key patterns, Quirrell visiting the third-floor corridor at odd hours, Snape appearing to monitor these visits, and Dumbledore's office occasionally showing unnamed visitors whose dots disappeared mysteriously. On Christmas morning, Harry woke to the unprecedented experience of actual presence at the foot of his bed. The gifts themselves provided valuable intelligence about his various alliances and Dumbledore's ongoing positioning attempts. From Hagrid, a roughly carved wooden flute, genuine affection combined with limited resources. From Hermione, a box of chocolate frogs, appropriate for their developing friendship level. From Mrs. Weasley, a hand-knitted emerald sweater and homemade fudge, significant as Ron expressed surprise at his mother including Harry in her traditional gift-giving, suggesting independent initiative rather than Ron's request. Most intriguing was the anonymously delivered package containing his father's invisibility cloak and the unsigned note in narrow, loopy handwriting Harry immediately identified as Dumbledore's. The deliberate Christmas timing, the emotional leverage of the family connection, and the strategic value of the cloak itself all pointed to careful calculation rather than simple generosity. "Your father left this in my possession before he died. It is time it was returned to you. Use it well." The phrasing raised immediate questions. Why had James Potter given one of his most valuable possessions to Dumbledore shortly before his death? Why return it now rather than when Harry first arrived at Hogwarts? And most significantly, what constituted using it well in Dumbledore's estimation? Harry recognized the cloak as both gift and test, providing a tool that facilitated rule-breaking while observing how Harry chose to use it. The timing aligned perfectly with the third-floor corridor investigation, creating optimal conditions for Harry to pursue the Philosopher's Stone trail if that was indeed Dumbledore's intended path. That night, Harry made strategic use of both the map and cloak, exploring previously inaccessible areas of the castle while maintaining constant awareness of staff locations. The experience provided valuable castle familiarity while avoiding any actual rule violations that might trigger disciplinary consequences. His exploration led to an unused classroom containing the Mirror of Eriste, another seemingly coincidental placement of a significant magical artifact in his path. Harry approached cautiously, noting the backward inscription and understanding its function immediately, showing the viewer's deepest desire rather than reality. When he stood before the mirror, Harry experienced something unexpected, emotional impact overwhelming his strategic mindset. The reflection showed not just his parents standing beside him, but an extensive family gathering, generations of Potters surrounding him with expressions of pride and love. The vision struck directly at Harry's core longing for family connection beyond the cold strategy and manipulation that had defined his life since the purging ritual. For several minutes, he simply absorbed the image, allowing genuine emotion to surface without the usual occlumency filtering. Harry recognized the mirror's danger immediately, its addictive potential to trap viewers in fantasy rather than reality. He pulled away deliberately, analyzing the artifact's placement in his path. Another test from Dumbledore, perhaps, assessing Harry's ability to recognize and resist magical temptation. He returned twice more over subsequent nights, each time allowing controlled emotional engagement while maintaining strategic awareness. On the third night, Dumbledore's coincidental appearance confirmed Harry's assessment. The headmaster had been monitoring his interaction with the mirror. "Back again, Harry?" Dumbledore asked quietly, seemingly materializing from nowhere despite the map showing his approach. Harry displayed appropriate surprise and embarrassment at being caught, while inwardly noting Dumbledore's timing and approach, designed to appear omniscient rather than deliberately monitoring. Their conversation about the mirror's properties and dangers provided Harry's first extended direct interaction with Dumbledore, offering valuable insight into the headmaster's methods. His seemingly casual mention that "hundreds before you have wasted away" before the mirror suggested deliberate risk in placing such a dangerous artifact where students might find it. Most telling was Dumbledore's question about what Harry saw in the mirror, an attempt to assess Harry's deepest desires while exposing psychological vulnerabilities. Harry provided a truthful but measured response about seeing his family, withholding the details and emotional impact while observing Dumbledore's reaction. The headmaster's apparent sympathy and his own claimed vision of thick woolen socks demonstrated his approach, performing grandfatherly wisdom while concealing his true assessments. The transparent deflection revealed more about Dumbledore's methods than any direct statement could have. "The mirror will be moved to a new home tomorrow, Harry," Dumbledore informed him. "I ask you not to go looking for it again." This instruction, combined with the mirror's properties, created an obvious connection to the Philosopher's Stone protection. The mirror's desire-revealing function would make an ideal final safeguard, allowing only someone who wanted to find the stone without using it to actually retrieve it. As the Christmas holiday concluded and students returned for the spring term, Harry integrated this new intelligence into his strategic assessment. Dumbledore's careful placement of tools and tests, the invisibility cloak, the Marauder's map, indirectly, the Mirror of Eriste, created a clear pathway toward the third-floor corridor and ultimately, confrontation with whoever sought the stone. The question remained whether to follow this evident breadcrumb trail as Dumbledore intended or maintain his independent agenda focused on long-term positioning rather than this specific confrontation. Harry's decision balanced multiple factors: the genuine threat Quirrell/Voldemort might pose to the school, the opportunity to observe Dumbledore's crisis management, and most importantly, the chance to demonstrate specific qualities that would shape how the wizarding world perceived him going forward. When classes resumed in January, Harry maintained his balanced approach, continuing excellent academic performance within non-suspicious parameters, strengthening key alliances especially with Hermione and Neville, and gathering intelligence on the third-floor corridor situation through strategic use of the map and cloak. The discovery that Flamel was a celebrated alchemist who had created the Philosopher's Stone came through Hermione's research persistence combined with a chocolate frog card featuring Dumbledore, another seemingly coincidental placement of key information in their path. "I knew I'd read the name somewhere," Hermione exclaimed, returning from the dormitory with an enormous book. "Nicholas Flamel is the only known maker of the Philosopher's Stone." Harry allowed appropriate amazement as Hermione read the description of the stone's immortality and gold-creating properties. Ron's wide-eyed response, "No wonder Snape's after it. Anyone would want it," demonstrated the successful establishment of their investigative narrative without Harry revealing his more comprehensive understanding. As the Gryffindor-Hufflepuff Quidditch match approached in February, Harry leveraged Quidditch practice as cover for observing staff movements around the castle, noting Snape's request to referee the match with particular interest, another apparent positioning move in the ongoing stone protection strategy. When game day arrived, Harry maintained his seeker role while remaining alert for unusual developments. Dumbledore's unexpected attendance, his first appearance at a Quidditch match that year, confirmed the event's significance in the broader strategy. Harry executed a perfect performance, spotting the snitch almost immediately and catching it within 5 minutes of the starting whistle, minimizing Snape's opportunity for interference while demonstrating exceptional seeking ability within plausible first-year parameters. The brevity of the match frustrated any potential sabotage attempt while reinforcing Harry's value to Gryffindor. The most significant development came after the match when Harry, observing from his broom at altitude, spotted Snape entering the Forbidden Forest. Using the post-game celebration as cover, Harry followed discreetly on his broom, maintaining sufficient height to avoid detection while observing the confrontation between Snape and Quirrell deep among the trees. "Don't know why you wanted TT to meet here of all places, Severus," Quirrell stammered. "Oh, I thought we'd keep this private," Snape replied icily. "Students aren't supposed to know about the Philosopher's Stone, after all." Harry remained perfectly still, hovering silently as he observed the tense exchange, Snape demanding to know about Quirrell's progress past Fluffy and the other protections, threatening the nervous professor while maintaining aggressive physical positioning. When Quirrell claimed ignorance, Snape grabbed his robes, warning, "You don't want me as your enemy, Quirrell." The confrontation confirmed Harry's assessment. Snape was monitoring Quirrell on Dumbledore's behalf, aware of the defense professor's interest in the stone. What remained unclear was whether Quirrell acted independently or under Voldemort's influence as suggested by Harry's scar reactions. Harry returned to the castle, processing this intelligence while joining the Gryffindor victory celebration. He shared a carefully edited version with Ron and Hermione, maintaining their investigative momentum while withholding his broader strategic assessment. As winter yielded to spring, Harry balanced exam preparation with ongoing surveillance of the third-floor corridor situation. The detection of increased dragon-related research in Hagrid's hut, visible through Harry's occasional strategic use of the invisibility cloak, indicated another developing situation worth monitoring. Hagrid's acquisition of a dragon egg confirmed Harry's assessment of the gamekeeper as both a valuable ally and significant security vulnerability due to his combination of magical creature obsession and inability to keep secrets. The dragon hatching created both risk and opportunity, legal jeopardy for Hagrid balanced against potential leverage for future information gathering. Harry maintained strategic involvement in the dragon situation without taking direct control, allowing Ron and Hermione to develop the plan to contact Charlie Weasley while Harry focused on minimizing detection risk through careful timing and route planning using the Marauders map. The resolution, arranging for Charlie's friends to collect the dragon from the astronomy tower, demonstrated perfect balance between helping Hagrid and maintaining deniability. Unfortunately, forgetting the invisibility cloak during their hasty return to the dormitory created an unforeseen complication: capture by Filch while out of bounds after curfew. McGonagall's fury at finding Harry, Hermione, Neville, who had tried to warn them about Malfoy, and Draco himself out of bed resulted in 50 points from each house and detention. The massive point loss temporarily damaged Harry's Gryffindor standing, a setback he had not factored into his strategic planning. "They're all on about you," Ron reported uncomfortably the following morning as fellow Gryffindors passed Harry with obvious resentment. "But they'll forget about it in a few weeks. Fred and George have lost loads of points and people still like them." Harry accepted this temporary status reduction with appropriate regret while recognizing the underlying lesson: maintaining house loyalty required more careful attention to point consequences than he had allocated in his risk assessment models. The detention itself, serving with Hagrid in the Forbidden Forest, created unexpected strategic value beyond the intended punishment. Tracking an injured unicorn provided both practical experience in magical creature handling and rare exposure to centaur interaction when they encountered Firenze, Ronan, and Bane discussing astronomical portents. The pivotal moment came when Harry, partnered with Malfoy and Fawkes, discovered the wounded unicorn being fed upon by a cloaked figure that immediately triggered intense pain in his scar. Harry recognized the magical signature immediately, the same dark resonance he'd experienced during the purging ritual years earlier. Voldemort. Malfoy's terrified flight provided perfect cover for Harry's more measured response, displaying appropriate fear while maintaining strategic awareness as the figure advanced toward him. When Firenze arrived to drive the entity away, Harry gained valuable intelligence through the centaur's cryptic explanations. "Do you know what unicorn blood is used for?" Firenze asked. "It will keep you alive, even if you are an inch from death, but at a terrible price. You have slain something pure and defenseless to save yourself, and you will have but a half-life, a cursed life, from the moment the blood touches your lips." This confirmed Harry's assessment of the forest entity as Voldemort seeking temporary life extension while pursuing the more permanent solution offered by the Philosopher's Stone. Firenze's pointed statement, "Can you think of nobody who has waited many years to return to power, who has clung to life, awaiting their chance?" validated the connection explicitly. When Firenze returned Harry to Hagrid and the others, his parting words, "The planets have been read wrongly before now, even by centaurs. I hope this is one of those times," suggested divination-based foreknowledge of coming confrontation, adding urgency to Harry's strategic planning. Back in the Gryffindor common room, Harry shared this intelligence with Ron and Hermione, establishing their shared understanding of the threat, Voldemort seeking the stone with Quirrell's assistance while Snape attempted to prevent the theft on Dumbledore's behalf. The narrative required slight adjustment to maintain his cover of limited knowledge while incorporating the new unicorn blood information. "Snape wants the stone for Voldemort," Harry explained, allowing his friends to believe this was his conclusion rather than a strategic misdirection. "With the elixir of life, Voldemort will be strong again." "Stop saying the name," Ron whispered fearfully, revealing another cultural conditioning Harry had identified for future addressing. Hermione's fear focused more practically on security, "but as long as Dumbledore's around, you know who won't touch you." Harry allowed this reassurance to stand while privately reassessing Dumbledore's role in the developing situation. The headmaster's apparent strategy, using the stone as bait while monitoring Harry's response to the orchestrated breadcrumb trail, suggested he anticipated and perhaps intended eventual confrontation between Harry and Voldemort. As exams approached in June, Harry maintained his academic focus while monitoring key indicators for the stone situation: Quirrell's increasingly nervous behavior, Fluffy's continued presence in the third-floor corridor, and most importantly, Dumbledore's movements as tracked via the Marauder's map. The final catalyst came during Harry's History of Magic exam when his scar burned with unprecedented intensity. The timing seemed significant, coinciding with the completion of examinations when students would have maximum free time for investigation. Another breadcrumb in the orchestrated path. That evening, Harry processed the implications with Ron and Hermione by the lake. "I've been thinking," he said carefully, "what if Dumbledore's absence from the school is the opportunity Quirrell's been waiting for?" Hermione's skeptical response, "Dumbledore's only gone when there's a good reason," simply reinforced Harry's assessment of the headmaster's strategic approach. The emergency ministry summons mentioned at breakfast had appeared suspiciously convenient. The confirmation came when they encountered Hagrid outside his hut and Harry strategically questioned him about the acquisition of his dragon egg. "Won it," Hagrid explained proudly. "In the village, off a stranger. Seemed quite glad to get rid of it, fact." Harry's careful questions revealed the critical intelligence. The stranger had deliberately plied Hagrid with drinks while asking about Hogwarts creatures, specifically about Fluffy. And Hagrid, true to form, had revealed the key information: music putting the three-headed dog to sleep. "I shouldn't ha' told ya that," Hagrid blurted, but the damage was done. This completed the picture. Quirrell had acquired the final piece of information needed to access the stone, coinciding perfectly with Dumbledore's suspicious absence. The orchestrated nature of these developments seemed increasingly evident, yet the genuine threat to the stone remained real regardless of Dumbledore's broader strategy. Harry made his decision: he would follow the breadcrumb trail toward confrontation with Quirrell/Voldemort, but on his own terms rather than precisely as Dumbledore seemed to intend. The situation provided perfect opportunity to demonstrate specific qualities while maintaining his cover as a brave but ultimately ordinary first year. "We've got to go to Dumbledore," Hermione insisted as they hurried back to the castle. Hagrid told that stranger how to get past Fluffy, and it was either Snape or you-know-who under that cloak. When McGonagall informed them Dumbledore had indeed left for London after receiving an urgent owl from the Ministry, the orchestrated nature became unmistakable. Her dismissal of their concerns about the stone: "I don't know how you found out about the stone, but rest assured, no one can possibly steal it, it's too well protected," simply reinforced the setup for student intervention. Harry made his strategic announcement in the common room that evening: "I'm going through the trapdoor tonight." The plan balanced multiple objectives, demonstrating appropriate Gryffindor courage while maintaining plausible first-year capabilities and including his key allies in ways that showcased their strengths. Hermione's contribution of the Devil's Snare information from herbology and the Flitwick-verified flying key charm, Ron's strategic thinking for the chess challenge, and Harry's coordination of their complementary skills all aligned perfectly with establishing their trio dynamic while pursuing the apparent objective. Their after-curfew approach to the third-floor corridor proceeded according to plan, bypassing Peeves through Harry's strategic use of the Bloody Baron's voice, discovering Fluffy already subdued by an enchanted harp, and making their way through the trapdoor toward the subsequent challenges. Each obstacle confirmed Harry's assessment of the orchestrated nature, tasks specifically aligned with first-year capabilities and knowledge. Hermione's calm logic in identifying the Devil's Snare's vulnerability to fire, Harry's seeker skills for capturing the flying key, Ron's chess prowess for navigating the transfigured chessboard, each challenge seemed designed to test specific qualities rather than providing genuine security. Ron's self-sacrifice in the chess game, allowing himself to be taken to secure their victory, created the first meaningful separation of their group while demonstrating his strategic value and courage. The subsequent logic puzzle requiring Hermione's analytical skills created the second separation, leaving Harry to face the final challenge alone, exactly as the orchestrated path seemed designed to ensure. "You're a great wizard, Harry," Hermione told him before drinking her potion to return through the flames. "Not as good as you," Harry replied honestly, acknowledging her genuine intellectual brilliance. "Me? Books and cleverness?" There are more important things, friendship and bravery. Hermione's recognition of these qualities represented significant growth from her initial rigid academic focus. As Harry drank the potion allowing forward passage, he prepared for the confrontation he had anticipated, Quirrell seeking the stone on Voldemort's behalf, with the Mirror of Erised as the final protection mechanism. The revelation of Quirrell as the primary antagonist rather than Snape, though already known to Harry, provided perfect opportunity to display appropriate surprise while maintaining his strategic awareness during the confrontation. "You!" Harry gasped, performing the expected reaction. "Me," Quirrell confirmed something went wrong with this response, "please try again. Bring out the next chapter of the story now." Chapter 3, The Sorting Journey to Hogwarts, with Harry maintaining independent strategic interactions with students on the train, including Hermione, Neville, and Ron. Arrival at Hogwarts and Harry's genuine reaction to the castle's magic. The sorting ceremony, where Harry confounds expectations. First confrontations with Dumbledore and staff who expected a malleable Harry. Formation of initial alliances among students across houses. First classes where Harry demonstrates unexpected knowledge and ability. Discovery of a plot involving the third-floor corridor and the Philosopher's Stone. Escalating conflict with Dumbledore as Harry begins to unravel the headmaster's plans. Now that I have an outline, I'll proceed to flesh out these chapters with proper attention to the requested style and avoiding the forbidden patterns. I'll make sure to focus on showing Harry's competence through action rather than telling, develop relationships naturally, maintain fast pacing, and create varied conflicts and interesting antagonists. Here's the detailed story outline that I'll present to the human, Harry Potter and the Poisoned Loyalty. Story outline. Overall plot. This story reimagines Harry Potter's journey when, at age 7, he's mysteriously taken to Gringotts, where goblins discover and purge 25 different loyalty and compulsion potions from his system. With newfound clarity, Harry sees the manipulation surrounding his life, accesses his hidden heritage and wealth, and begins preparing for the Wizarding World years before receiving his Hogwarts letter. As he enters Hogwarts, he navigates a complex web of allies and enemies with his eyes wide open, fundamentally altering the trajectory of the Wizarding World. Themes: freedom versus manipulation, true loyalty versus manufactured devotion, self-determination and agency, power and responsibility, found family versus forced relationships. Character arcs. Harry Potter transforms from a confused, mistreated child into a clear-thinking, strategically minded young wizard. Develops genuine relationships based on mutual respect rather than magical manipulation. Learns to balance independence with the strength that comes from true allies. Confronts manipulators while preparing for legitimate threats. Supporting characters: Sharpclaw and Ragnarok. Goblins, initial rescuers who become mentors in finance, strategy, and goblin magic. Teach Harry values of honor, contracts, and self-determination. Severus Snape discovers he too has been manipulated. Regarding Harry, reluctant ally who respects Harry's competence despite personal history. Hermione Granger, analytical mind who recognizes and appreciates Harry's authentic self. Partnership based on mutual respect and complementary abilities. Neville Longbottom, fellow victim of familial manipulation, blossoms under Harry's genuine friendship and encouragement. Antagonists: Albus Dumbledore, orchestrator of the potions scheme, believing control of Harry necessary for greater good, increasingly desperate to regain influence as Harry evades manipulation. Molly and Ron Weasley, complicit in the potioning scheme, Molly knowingly, Ron unwittingly. Ron struggles between programmed mission and genuine connection. Quirrell/Voldemort, true threat operating behind the scenes, intrigued by Harry's unexpected development and resistance to control the end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.